This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
A very good morning to you all with this absolutely fantastic full moon, which I believe is at 99.8% according to my moon app. So we have an absolutely glorious moon in front of us here in the Masai Mara in Kenya, and we do have the start of the sunrise on the other side. But first things first, my name is Lauren, and on camera I do have Bungie. So we'll just give you another look at the other side to me, where the light is just starting to come up and the sun is just starting to come up. Now, I did say to Bungie, oh, look at the sun. We have a huge ball of sun and we have a huge moon. But it was, in fact, a hot air balloon. It wasn't the sun. So, yes, that was a little bit of a mistake that I made. But we do have a fabulous sky on one side and the moon on the other. So do not forget to talk to us today. It is your Sunrise Safari, so do send in your questions and comments using that hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or on the YouTube chat stream, whichever you prefer. So we just thought we would take a moment to let you see all this glorious sky that is around us. It is just absolutely breathtaking. The moon has just been phenomenal. And yes, as many of you know, we had a discussion the other night and I did not sleep well last night either. Oh, some people are saying it looks like a rabbit in front of the moon. Shall we swing around again and let's have a look? Unfortunately, the moon is almost covered. Look at that. I'm glad we got the view for you when we did, because that is not an ideal moon at all. And unfortunately, I can't see a rabbit. But that doesn't mean it wasn't there earlier. In that short space of a few minutes, we've managed to completely almost lose our moon there. Isn't that incredible? So just a few updates for you. You know I like my updates. The other day, I popped into the North Clan the other evening. Many of you were with me before I went on my crazy leopard chase. I'm going to start the car and drive. And it was very quiet. Remember, there was nothing there, which is a little bit concerning. So I did spend the night at the hyena ladies camp the other night. I had a sleepover, which was fabulous. And they were also saying they were slightly concerned. It shouldn't be that quiet at a den when there's this crazy amount of cubs running around. So we went out very early in the morning to do observation work, and indeed it appears that lions have came by. I mean, this is just general observations, but it appears that lions have came and really scared the hyenas. So I don't know which lions it was. It could have been my Chelly boys. It might not have been the Chelly boys. So I'm a little bit worried, so I just want to check in on them this morning and see what's happening. And this is the area where the leopard has been seen quite a lot. So I am determined, you know me, to try and find this leopard for you. I actually heard it was a female. Word on the street in the Mara is that it is female. But when I had a look at the photo, the size, this is a big leopard, bigger than Tingana. It's huge. So I have a funny feeling it's a male, and it's just been sexed slightly wrong by the people who saw it. But however, we are going to look for that as well. So that is my plan for today. Check in on North Clan, just make sure they're okay, and indeed have a little look for this elusive leopard that just slipped our clutches the other night. How frustrating, but we will get there, and this is the exact area where the leopard is always seen. So now that we've got light, now that the ball of sun, which was a hot air balloon, has came up, we are going to look in the area and see if we can find her stroke him. Morning is a very good time to see a leopard, and in the evening out here in the Mara. It's a little bit different in Juma. So, fingers crossed, send me all your good vibes and your well wishes. It's been far too long without my leopard fix. Goodness me, I can't think of the last time I saw a leopard. Very long time ago. So indeed, I need to get my leopard fix. Well, we do have some elephants, so how beautiful is that? Let's take a little look at the elephant just to say good morning, shall we? Yes, let's say good morning. Hello, elephants. Glorious. You can just see They're obviously having their breakfast. So while we scan this area, I want to take it really slowly and have a look at every single tree and bush and shrubbery. We are going to send you across to someone who's not very far away from me right now to say good morning.
Well, I bid you all the best with your leopard hunt this morning, Lauren. That is something I have yet to see out here where we are in the Masai Mara Game Reserve of Kenya. My name is Patrick, and joining me behind the lens today is James. And if you have any questions, any comments, please use the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter or the YouTube chat stream to interact with us. Now, how cool was it to see the full moon setting this morning? Almost every day we will show you a sunrise or a sunset, but to see a moon set, I think very cool indeed. It was a massive bright moon, so I can't say much for werewolves. Maybe some were-lions might come out. That is the hope, that is the plans for today's drive. So I'm in Owino territory again. The plot has thickened out here. So the last few times I have came here, I've been here pretty much every day for the last week or so, and the first 3 or 4 days was all Owinos. But then there has been a male lion in the area, we believe Fang from the Eldonyu Payak, no, from Kitchell males. It's missing a lower left canine, and I always thought Fang was missing the upper canine, but I was told last night that it is in fact the lower canine. So he has been here every time I have come here over the last 3 days, and I suppose we can use again the escarpment to orientate us. So he started down at that side of the escarpment and is just making his way along this way. Every time I've caught up with him, he has been a little bit further this way, without any sign of the Owinos. But yesterday after drive, I did run into him, and then I thought I found the Owinos after that. I saw a few little lion heads poking up out of the trees, well, from under a tree, and I got very excited and went over to find it was 4 young males that were under the tree. So my only guess is that they have split off from the Olololo pride, these 4 young males. I did sort of seem to recognise a couple of them. I can't say for sure, but it did seem like they had come from the Olololo pride. We do know it is a big pride with a lot of young males, and so I suppose we would expect a coalition to come from that, but they were looking very young, only about 2 years old maximum, maybe 2.5. And then they were also looking at very cut up. All of them had little nicks and tears all over their bodies, so it seems like they had been fighting. I'm not sure whether amongst themselves, whether it was with that big male, or whether it was with the Owinos for perhaps some food, because they had very full tums as well when I saw them. So I am out here in Owino territory, just trying to slowly piece together what is actually happening out here. I did go and check the other side where I don't usually check for the Owinos yesterday, and no luck there as well. But if I don't see them out here, I will go check that side too. The only drawback with coming out to here, is similar with the Sausage Tree Pride as well, is the territories lack a lot of other animals. And what I love doing whilst out on a search is just stopping every now and again and taking some time to look at something different, talk about it, and then that also gives more time of kind of being stationary to be able to look a little bit more in depth. So taking all that into account, if I can't pick up on these males or the Owinos, I think I'm going to go try the river for a little bit of variety. It's been quite a bit warmer around here lately. Apparently we have an equinox on Saturday. So it's been keeping things nice and warm for us. Wisteria is saying the grass is so high that it's really higher than me. Yes. Is correct. Too long. So, who knows this? In grass, so I'm just like we're having a bit of signal issue here, so we're just going to go back over to Lauren and I will try and get out of this bad spot and find some lions.
I do apologise about that. I think Pat lost a little bit of signal there. He is indeed on his mission to find the Owinos. I think Pat's fast becoming the Lion King out here. So hopefully he's able to find them, but sometimes we do go through tricky signal patches. So I'm still in the kind of the same area. I've been driving very, very slowly, holding up all the traffic behind me apparently, just to see if I can see anything. Manu and David actually caught sight of the leopard the other day. She, really confused about this, does seem to move quite a bit in the morning. However, it's just always worth driving a little bit slower. I've always got the bad habit of putting my foot down and going too fast and missing things. So that is why I am driving at this very slow rate. We're not quite in the North Plant area yet, but indeed that is where I'm heading to. Nina Moo's asking about names, but I'm not sure about what she is asking. What about the names? I will get my Nina to repeat that and see exactly what the question was. Oh, dude, leopards. Sounds like she's saying lipids. That's what I hear. Leopards. Okay. Sorry, Nina. It's your accent. I don't believe they get named the way they do in Juma. So in Juma, it's obviously quite a big process. I think they've got beautiful names in Juma. Tandy, Tlalamba, Tingana, Hosanna. I think they are all really, really beautiful names. And obviously it's a big effort, and it's normally given out to sort of the local rangers and guides to have their input. And of course, each name has a meaning. I think it's a really, really lovely process down in Juma. However, up here is not quite the same, and I do believe they get named sort of by the location that they're founding. So even the shepherd's bush, the shepherd's tree male sort of thing, it's not really the same as Tingana, is it? So yes and no, in answer to your question, Mina Moo. I do think that they get named just by the location. It's not so personal, which is a shame. I would love to get deeper into this, and I know that Tristan has found many leopards. However, they're just not so easy to find as they are in Juma. That is the tricky thing. I really genuinely cannot wait to see one. Really, really excited about it. But indeed, my time has not came yet. Now, I've sort of put out feelers to all the guides that we know to see if anybody does know the location of Busara. I really do want to check in on her. I believe she's still around. We looked really hard for her the other day and no avail. So hopefully today might be a day for checking up on everybody. Wouldn't that be lovely? Checking up on the North Plan. It's getting a little bit chilly here. And checking up on Busara. So I'm not entirely sure if I will get the information on her whereabouts, but I am trying. We seemed to just lose her one day and it just wasn't possible for us to locate her again. But I do believe she is in the area of the Kichwa airstrip. So if I have enough time, I will try and check up on her too. I like to check up on all my animals out here. Oh, it's got really chilly all of a sudden. I'm glad I'm wearing my jumper. I think I'm going to zip it right up. There we go. Can't really breathe now, but it keeps my neck nice and warm. Now it's very quiet out here. I haven't seen a single animal. Oto's asking, what is the most endangered animal of the Mara? Oh, that's a tricky one. There's actually many, many endangered animals out here, from your giraffe to some species of vultures to, a lot. But I would say the most, if we were to go by the one that's sort of at the top of the list, probably your rhino species. They are the ones that are in the most trouble out here, I believe. But there's so many different animals whose populations are declining, and it does always surprise me. Oh, then now we have the sun, and this is not a hot air balloon. Let me just point out to you, it is actually the sun. Let me see if I can position so Bongay can get it. Can you get it? There we go. So FYI, this is not a hot air balloon. It really is the sun. So we've said goodbye to the moon, and there's the sun. So to continue on with the question, it always surprised me when I read how much giraffe populations are in trouble as well. I think they're declining somewhere between 30 to 40%. And obviously there is trouble with ivory trade, but I believe the elephant populations in the Mara are quite stable. Cheetah is unfortunately an animal that's also listed on the IUCN Red List. Their populations don't do too well. However, I was reading a paper that did say their numbers have slightly, marginally increased, but the latest update I could actually find was from 2016, which is obviously 3 years sort of out of date. So I believe they're slowly, slightly increasing, but cheetah have a very, very hard time here, and the survival rate of the cubs is just very, very, very low, which is it's a very, very sad thing. I did read, now the numbers do tend to fluctuate, but I did read that the cheetah survival rate of a cub can be as low as 10%. Now, that is very, very low. So they do really protect cheetah dens here. They really put in a lot of efforts to protect the cubs as well. But still, the survival rate is very low, unfortunately. Even the grand hornbill is on the IUCN Red List. I do believe it's listed as vulnerable. There's different categories of an animal, from least concern right up to critically endangered. So it depends where on the spectrum it falls. But back to the question, there is unfortunately many, many animals out here that are in trouble for different reasons. But most of them, and I say this very generally, do sort of stem from human influences and human effects. Oh, look at that sunrise. We do actually have a hot air balloon to the right of the sunrise. That was probably the one that I mistook for the sun when I was originally driving along. But that is a fantastic sunrise. It's going to be a glorious day. I feel good about today. But unfortunately, I do have to move, or I'm never going to get to this North Clan on time. Because what I've noticed is that they do tend to have a specific window of time when the den is very, very active. And it is now, and if you tend to go a little bit too late, it tends to not be so active. The cubs have sort of gone back inside, and the adults have dispersed to go about their daily activities, whatever indeed they may be. So I really, really just want to get there and check that everything's okay. Now, it's speculation about the lions. We don't have any evidence, however. If it was a very traumatic experience and they really, really came right up to the den and maybe tried to go for the cubs or something like that, there is a chance that the hyenas would move the den, and that's the worrying thing, because it's not very easy to find a den once a hyena moves. Obviously, the hyena researchers would probably have an easier job than we would, but let's just hope that that didn't happen and that they're not going to move dens. It's actually a very lovely den that they have. We were discussing that. They've chosen a perfect home for them. Bee Lionheart's asking, if they do move dens, what will they do with the little ones? They will move the little ones. So they will I have actually, there's two different scenarios here. So the very, very young ones, the 4 to 6 weeks old ones that are really black and haven't quite got their spots yet, they would be picked up by the scruff of the neck, just like a lion would do, and they would be transported to a new zen by the mothers. The slightly older ones that are a lot more fluffy, are a lot bigger with their spots, they would just follow. They would just follow the mother wherever they're going, and they would settle in a new den. And it is common for hyenas to move den. It's not an unknown thing, as we saw from Juma when the Juma clan completely evaded us for a month or two. And it could be for many, many different reasons. There is a sort of theory that they do sort of circulate between known dens, so they don't just pick a completely unknown den and just start from scratch. It is said that they will sort of go to one that they have used before, which makes sense, doesn't it? So hopefully they've not. I'm not saying they've moved dens, do not worry. But if there has been a lion scare, there's a possibility they will. So they will up and move everybody, including the cubs, including everybody. And they will start again in a new den. And the area where the North Clan den is very accessible. The grass is very short and it's very open. So oh, we have traffic in the form of very large elephants. So it is actually perfect for us. I'm thinking about myself, of course. For us to go visit them and observe them, it's very, very easy. So fingers crossed they're still there and the lion scare wasn't too bad. However, encounters between lions and hyenas, particularly male lions, can be very, very traumatic. I've actually been reading a lot into their interactions, and there's one paper that just says, it's a very interesting article, it's just hatred. There's absolutely nothing more you can say. It is just pure hatred between lions and hyenas, mainly from the lion side. They just hate hyenas. Now, how crazy is that? What do we have running up the road? Is it some jackals? It is indeed. Let me just try and get a little bit closer. No, 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 don't go up into the grass. We want to have a look at you. Okay, Bungie, let's see if we can get a lovely view of a pair of jackals. Good morning, guys. I'd love to know what you guys got up to last night. I really, really would. They're always on a mission. Look at them go. Aren't they just beautiful? One of the most courageous animals I have came across for their size. So they actually move incredibly fast for their size. And I'm actually hoping to find, we've heard some whispers that some jackals do have a den site and they could be denning. So I'm actually hoping to come across a jackal den. I think that would be a wonderful thing to spend time at. And I do have a potential location for a bat-eared fox den. So these are all things I want to check out. Probably not going to happen in the 3-hour drive today due to the vast distances you have to travel in Namara. But we have a long day ahead of us, Bungie and I. We're on a very long shift and we've got many, many missions to complete. And those are just some of our missions. But unfortunately, it's said to get ridiculously hot in the next few days. Now, I am not complaining at all. However, it does affect the animals. It becomes really, really difficult to find animals when it gets that hot. So I was just about to tell you about the equinox, but it was actually Patrick that told me. So we are going to send you across to him, and let's see if he can give you some more information on that.
Yes, the equinox coming Saturday. It's going to heat things up quite a bit. Now, Lauren, I am very invested in your leopard hunt today. So invested, in fact, that I am going to put a little motivation on the table for you. If you find a leopard today, I will cook you any vegan meal that your heart desires. I will personally prepare the entire meal for you. So hopefully that even more ignites the fire to find a leopard out here in the Mara. So as for the Owinos, not seeing much at all at the moment, not picking up on anything. I haven't even seen that male yet. He's usually the first thing I see when I come in here, or like recently it's been the first thing I see. It's obviously a very big male, very easy to spot, but this long grass, he does love going flat in it. So still looking. Anyway, I'm about halfway through their territory again if we use the escarpment. So I've come about 600 or 700 metres along, so about 2,000 or so feet along, and there's about the same distance to go. And then I'm going to swing back around and try and find a road coming up on the other side. So yeah, I'll come around at the other side and see. Yeah, so the equinox is starting today. It goes until Saturday. And so we're going to get a few days of very warm weather, which is why the morning and the late afternoon is the best time to look for lions, or well, the best time to find active lions at least, because we do expect them to go quite flat in this very hot sun. Even yesterday, the sun had a lot of kick to it. It really drained me by the end of the drive. So I can only imagine that the next few days are going to be pretty warm. But still nothing on what well, the temperatures here don't get as high as summer in Juma, but the sun has a real bite to it. Not only are we close to the equator, we also are very high up, you know, 1.5 to 2 kilometres depending where you are in the landscape, whether you're up on the escarpment or down here in the park, which is about just over a mile up, which obviously means we're closer to the sun, so it just really has that extra bite to it. But I am a bit of a heat baby. Been living in the heat for the last year or so. Haven't really had a proper long period of cold weather. So bring it on, I say. Bring it on. The only thing that would make it better would be perhaps a saltwater wave pool. But that is very wishful thinking. James Richard is hearing about the meal I'm offering it to cook Lauren. He's asking if I'm a good cook. Well, I don't mean to toot my own horn, but no, I do enjoy cooking. It's something I've loved doing from a young age. I used to bake quite a bit until I realised how bad that was for my tummy. And I was quite a little chubby teenager because I was always baking up goods for everyone to have. And then, yeah, and then after that, as I started to grow up, I just started to love cooking my own meals. And then, even when we were in the Dive Live house together, Lauren and I and all of the other Dive Live crew, we each had a night of the week where we would choose a dish and cook it ourselves. And my night was usually Asian night. And it, yeah, it came up pretty well. So yes, I do enjoy cooking. And I get good feedback on it, so I hope that people do also enjoy what I cook for them. This is kind of the last area that I saw the male lion. Just gonna have a bit of a look. Usually it's very easy to spot him from up here. To see that big mane. Big, beautiful mane. James is just pointing. Oh yeah, well done, James. Nice spot. So we have a lion here, of which sex or which pride, I could not tell you. It's in the long grass. I'll just come around. It's looking like there is a little bit of a mane there. Yes. Ah, yes. So this is the male I have been talking about. Well done, James. Good morning, sir. What are you doing? Are you looking for the Owinos? Because so am I. So this is 4 times in a row that I've been here and found this male. I am wondering whether it is the Owinos that has got him here. I have heard that he has been around them in the past and mated with them. Sorry, I'll just come around. Oh, this might be a very nice view that we get here of it walking into the sunrise. So I think the plan now is just going to be, providing this guy doesn't go flat, is just to, I think, follow him and just see what he's been getting up to, where he's actually trying to go at the moment. No, he's going to lead me into a bit of a hard spot. Just bear with me, everybody. Everybody is celebrating my find. It is a beautiful male, isn't it? Absolutely handsome. Very, very handsome. Hopefully not here for butternut's cubs. I don't think it is. Oh, that is gorgeous. In the morning sun. There we go. Let's have a look at him. Oh, every time we go to get a nice shot, he's just moving off. But that's all right. I would much rather have a mobile lion than a flat lion, especially at this time of the morning. Hopefully he leads us to the Owinos. Do you go flat? Lady Starfire is calling me the Lion King. Well, I can't take credit for this one. This was all James spotted this one. So, yes. But I have been catching up with a lot of lions lately. It has been very great to see just all of the lions around here. Just going to move forward a little bit so we can get a better look at this one. But it's doing pretty much what I was hoping it wouldn't do and gone completely flat in this area. This is my least favourite spot to drive, where we have spotted this guy the last few days. There's big tufts of grass all over the place. It makes it very difficult. Oh, sorry about that, everybody. Oh, I couldn't hold that one in. Now, where are you? Oh, yeah. This could get a little bit bumpy, so please do bear with me. No, I'm not even going to get through this way. Perhaps this way looks a little bit less tedious. This is almost a replica of the other morning, isn't it? When we got a nice look at him. And then boom, flat in the long grass, making life a little bit harder. Well, Miss Hyena Lauren Arthur is on her way to the North Clan, so I am just going to reposition here and send you over to her. Yeah.
Oh, Patrick, he really is the Lion King. What a man. Now, you all know I love to tease Patrick, and I do call him Patricia. I don't know what I started, but it seems to have stuck, and I'm quite proud of myself. I love to tease him no end. It's one of my favourite things to do. However, I have to be honest with you all. I'm a very honest person. He is an incredible cook. And it really surprised me. Dive Live, we all had to cook for one another. But Mr. Jondre, by the way, did not cook for us once. I just want to highlight that. So when you do speak to Jondre, you can ask him why he didn't cook for us. But yes, we all took a turn at cooking. And Pat was fabulous. He is excellent at cooking Asian foods, and that happens to be my favorite. I could live on Asian food for the rest of my life. So I was Mexicana queen, and he was the Asian king. So it was a fabulous time, and we had some delicious meals out there. Honestly, I do miss the food on Dive Live. We ate very, very well. And as for him cooking me a vegan meal, really? This is very interesting. He didn't say a timeline, so I am going to find my leopard. May not be today, may not be tomorrow, but I am going to find my leopard. So the fact that Patrick did not specify a timeline, it looks like I am going to get a vegan meal. Yay! And he wants to tell me, although I'm a vegan by choice, I do cook meat. Oh, Nina just informed me that he did say today. Well, that's rather disappointing. That's a lot of pressure, but I'll try. I like to go slowly over this bridge because normally there's a giant hippo that scares us every morning. Okay, we're almost at the North Clan. And yeah, I was really looking forward to that vegan meal as well. But I did cook meat for everyone in Dive Live. I'm not one of these people that won't cook meat, so I do cook meat. And I do remember Pat telling me that I cook the best mince he's ever tasted. I'm Scottish, of course. We eat a lot of mince over in Scotland. I obviously do not anymore, but my family do, and I did in the past. So there you go. We're both good cooks, apparently. But not Jondre. Definitely not Jondre. Ugh, that's always a bumpy part. Okay, we're almost there. The North Clan Den is just up ahead. So fingers crossed the hyenas are indeed there. So if Patrick is the Lion King, what can I be? The hyena assistant matriarch? How cool is that? That's way better than being a Lion King. I can't say I'm the matriarch because that's way too big a title for me. I could not possibly say that. But assistant? Yeah, I'll work with that. I'll go with that. Okay. Normally we see some hyenas by this point. Where are you guys? Please don't tell me you've moved because this will really break my heart. And of course Waffles does have a collar, but it's a radio collar. So it's not GPS, which is obviously much easier and much more technologically advanced. A radio collar is a little bit tricky, but they still would be able to track them if they had indeed moved. Okay, the big reveal is coming. Oh my goodness. I see a bottom. Hello, good morning, guys. There we go. Hi. Oh, isn't that adorable? It is quieter than I thought it would be, but still, we have a mother. Let me just get out my binoculars and try and figure out who this mother is. Hello, beautiful. Oh, look at her sleeping. Okay, so I can see one of the cubs, and it's either Ding Dong or Honey Buns. I can definitely tell you that much. So it's obviously not the... Look at Mama falling asleep. It's obviously not the mothers of the brand new little cubbies. These cubbies are slightly older. And they're obviously still suckling. But it is not Remington or Crim. So, good news, the hyenas are still here. Now, Steve Central's saying I'm something. I will have to get this repeated. I have got my gaffer tape on, the solution to everything, but I do believe my earpiece is falling apart and we might need to invest in a new one. So let's get that repeated. Hyena something. I'm not getting the second word. Are you getting it? High princess. Priestess. I'm getting all of Nina's words apart from that one. So I am getting a lovely title here. But I don't know what the title is. So I am sorry about that. But I hope it's a lovely one and I hope we can stick with it. So it is a great news that there's a hyena here with cubbies. This is fabulous news. However, it is a lot quieter than it has been, and this is worrying me. So when we did go out the other night with the hyena girls, very early in the morning, sorry, it was 4 in the morning, so it felt like nighttime to me, but technically it's morning. We did find Ramon and her 2 little cubbies, Swim and Lifetime, hiding very, very far away from the den, hiding in amongst the long grass, which is very strange behaviour. And even the hyena ladies were not sure exactly why they were doing that. And this is all added to the massive speculation that something has happened, which is slightly worrying. But this mother is Rama. So Rama is the mother of Ding Dong and Honeybuns. And Ding Dong and Honeybuns are just starting to lighting and get in their spot pattern, and it's just really tricky to actually tell who is who. So I'm not even going to attempt that at the minute, but there is 2 of them there, and they're obviously having a gorgeous, gorgeous morning suckle, which is a beautiful, beautiful sight to see. But where is everybody else is the big question. Normally when you come here, there's hyenas sleeping in the grass, there's hyenas upside down, there's hyenas around you. Can't really drive that far because there's just hyenas everywhere. And this is not the case this morning. So I will obviously report this to the girls and let them know because they are obviously a little bit concerned as well. Where is everybody? And I do hope the lions haven't came on by and scared them, because that would indeed be enough to make them move. And as you can see, if we can just take a wide look at this area, it's a fantastic home. It's really easy to access and see. We don't want you guys to move. All right? This is great, great chosen spot. It really is. I'm a little bit concerned now. We will wait a little bit long. Oh, you're going to stand on your mummy. I am going to wait a little bit longer and just observe a few things. However, I have got many missions today, as you know. I set myself up for a busy morning. And I've got a vegan meal to get. So this is very crucial. So here we go. You can see the play in these 2. Actually, I don't think this is Ding Dongs and Honeybuns. Give us a view of your beautiful spot patterns. Look at Mummy, look how tired she is. She's just permanently drifting off to sleep. And I wonder what these guys get up to, because in the morning they're normally absolutely zonked. Whereas the cubs, of course, are full of energy. I just find the bond between a mother hyena and her cubs is very, very strong. There's a lot of maternal instinct there, and it's a very beautiful thing to see. And even watching, a little bit yoga, even watching Waffles and her son Turani, who Pat was lucky enough to see the other day with Busara, they've still got such a warm interaction. Even although he's a son, males play a completely different role. And even although he's dispersed and left, he doesn't hang around the den, well, not the North Clan den anyway, they still have such a warm bond. And I just think between mother and offspring within hyenas, it's a very, very strong bond. It's lovely to see. They're very, very affectionate towards one another. And unfortunately, not all mothers in the animal kingdom are, I'm afraid. Finn is asking a great question. Oh, we're having a sleepy scratch there. No, this is not Ding Dong and Honey Buns. I have got it wrong. So before I answer that question, I just want to clarify that this looks like Tara and Ang. Sorry about that. I think I've got it completely wrong. Whose mother would be Anna? Obviously, I've not had a great look at Anna's spot pattern yet because there's 2 adorable cubs sleeping on her. So Finn is asking, are hyenas closely related to a mongoose and a dog? And yes, 100% correct. Great job on that one. So I find them personally, and again, this is just my personal view, I find them very dog-like in their... well, I guess their mannerisms and their behaviour and just the way they look. They just remind me of my dog at home and all the dogs we have in the family. I'm not sure everyone would agree with me. I don't find them cat-like at all. And I'm talking about the big cats. Yeah, I find them really, really dog-like. So they are in the order Carnivora and, of course, in the family Hyaenidae, where there is 4 different types of hyena: spotted, striped, brown and aardwolf. But they are much more closely related to the mongoose than they are, of course, dogs or cats. So well done on that one, Finn. That is completely correct. And even although they don't really necessarily look anything like the mongoose, they are, of course, more closely related to them, which is fascinating. The order Carnivora is extremely fascinating. But I do think they're very dog-like. That's just, I don't know, I guess that's just my opinion. I love spending time with them in any way that I can. And I would love to see some other species of hyena. I would love to see the striped and the brown and the aardwolf. It's all on my species list. I have a huge ocean and land list on my phone of all the animals ranked in order that I want to see, that I want to travel the world and see. And I've separated them. One is for the ocean and one is for land. And there's so many more animals that I have to tick off this giant list. So it is, of course, going to take some time, but I will work my way through it. It is my life's mission. We have a gorgeous hot air balloon about to cross behind the den. I'll give you a little look at that because it's stunning. It's probably the same one that I thought to be the sun, to be honest. It's just about to come into view. Michael, I actually meant to address this the other day, Michael. Thank you for the reminder. I am working on quite a comprehensive... There we go, look at that balloon. Comprehensive sort of list of the North Clan. We don't have a full 77 member list of great IDs, but I'm personally focusing right now on the current activities at the Zen, including matriarchs, mums and cubs. So it's still a work in progress. I'm still trying to get photos of each individual, which is just not easy. So yes, I promise to share this with you all once I have completed it. And hopefully you'll all be excited about this, but Safari Lives on Monday will be dedicated to the recent phenomenal takeover at the North Clan, and why these takeover happened, how it happened, and all the juicy information about the Soup and Waffles takeover. Let's just take a closer look at these cubs because they're chewing Mum's ear off. You're going to lose your ear, Mummy. So yes, I will share, Michael. I'm still working on it. It's not perfect yet. There's some photos that I'm missing of these notorious little cubs who just will not give me a moment to stand still and let me get their spot pattern. But yes, I promise to share. And just at the moment, there are lots of members of the North Clan, lots of males actually that are associated with this clan, but I'm just focusing on the sort of matriarchs. Oh, look at those teeth. Look at that, it's so adorable. Yes, the matriarchs, the mothers and the cubs, and I will share with anyone who is interested. So it's a little bit more complicated than the Juma clan, but I think if we can share IDs with you, then indeed you can start to learn them as much as I am. So that is a promise from me to all of you that I will share. I just need a little bit more time to get it finished. And of course, on Monday, if you all tune into Safari Lives, we'll go much, much, much deeper into the clan. And hopefully everyone will enjoy it. So these cubs are obviously fully alert now and determined to annoy mother, who I can see really, really wants to nap. I actually have a great photo of a young cub, I'm not sure which one, that just put its head in mum's ear. So they love to play with mum. Mario's asking, I think, what spots do we look at to identify them? I hope that's correct. I get a very crackling sound in this earpiece. So if you look at a hyena's profile side on, so I'm trying to, yeah, kind of just like that, just like what we saw in that cub. We're definitely not going to get them to stop and model for us, but just from the side on, we look at the left side of the body and the right side of the body, both profiles, and they have a spot pattern. So if you look at mum here, it's much more obvious in mum because her spots are really dark and pronounced, and her, you know, the sort of background colour is, I don't know what you would describe that, a fawny, tanny, browny colour. So it's very, very easy in the adults. Now, if you look at these cubs, they're just starting to lighten. Cubs are born naturally very, very dark, and they lighten as they get older, and the spot pattern comes out. So when they turn to the side, you can see on the body that it's starting to appear in spots. You get a good view of that there. And that is what we look at. Now, different animals in the animal kingdom have different areas where you can actually ID them individually. So for turtles, it's the scutes on the side of the face. For whale sharks, it's actually a very small triangle between the left pectoral fin and the body. It's a very specific area. For cheetahs, you can actually use facial patterns, spots on the legs and spots on the body. And of course, for hyenas, it's the spots on the body profile. So they're learning ways to identify many, many animals. There's a lot of programs run by Wild Age right now that are looking into that. But indeed, it's not the same for every single animal. So hyena spot patterns are completely individualistic. And it does help if they have scars or notches in their ears or something to make them a little bit different. So Pretty from the Juma clan, you can just see her a mile away. She's got this sort of growth of hair on her neck that's really, really orangey in colour, and she has a huge scar on her right cheek. I want to say the right side. Yes, I think it's the right side. So straight away, you don't even need to look at the spot pattern. You can say that's Pretty. But what I've noticed out here with the North clan is that they're actually all in much better condition. They're actually all very, very healthy here. And I am beginning to wonder if it is to do with the way they eat here. So they hunt solo here much more than they do in Juma. So does that mean that they avoid conflict a lot more with other animals? And I'm not sure, but that's what I'm beginning to think. So some of these hyenas do not have any scars, any ear notches, and that's when you really have to look at the spot pattern. And it's not easy, and I'm going to be honest with you, I'm still learning. The North clan is huge, so I'm still working on it, but indeed that is how you identify a hyena. And it does look like the spot pattern that you can see on these tiny little young ones will stay the same throughout their life. That's one thing you've got to be cautious of, especially with, for example, turtles that I have a lot of experience with. They actually change the pattern from a juvenile to adult. So it's not reliable to, of course, take a photo of a juvenile and then expect the adult to have the same pattern. But indeed, hyenas, apparently they do, which is perfect. It makes it much, much easier to identify when the spot pattern doesn't change as they get older. This is such a lovely moment here, isn't it? And the hyena researchers, just to give you an update, also saw the piece of plastic that we saw, and they did try to remove it. So the plastic has been removed. You'll all be glad to know. Lisa's asking another interesting question. We're on fire today. Are hyena cubs born with teeth? And yes, they are. They're one of the few sort of animals that are born with a full set of teeth. So it's very, very interesting because they're actually born with their eyes open. Now, if you think of lions and leopard cubs, they're actually born with their eyes closed. They're very, very blind and weak and pretty much helpless for some time before they can sort of... Oh, the cubs just spotted that Thompson's gazelle. Can you see that? I'm not sure if you can see that, Bungay. Okay, the Thompson's gazelle is off. It's realised that it's probably not a good idea to hang around here. But that little cub was on full alert. How cute. That was adorable. I don't think you're going to do much, little cub. Definitely not. But yes, so they're born with their eyes open and their full set of canines fully erupted. So they do go through a change, just like we do, and they will indeed get rid of those teeth and get their full set of adult teeth, but they are born with teeth. So these little cubs that you can see probably could actually give a nasty bite if they really wanted to. Now, it's not their full adult teeth, but indeed, I'm sure if they wanted to nip your finger or any other part of your body, it would, of course, hurt a lot. So yes, great question, Lisa. They are indeed another reason that makes hyenas absolutely amazing animals. Having a wonderful, lovely sniff of mother here, who is paying absolutely no attention. And just continuing to try and get a few winks in here and there. Can't imagine it's an easy life being a hyena. Hello? Normally we get a welcome and they come bounding right up to the car, but we haven't received that this morning. And obviously those two cubs, Life and Swim, that we saw removed with her mother Ramon. Oh, that's your mummy's tail. I don't think you should be doing that. They have obviously disappeared, and they've obviously disappeared somewhere. So it is literally at what we can see, just these guys at the den. I don't think there is going to be much happening, just cubs annoying mother, to be very honest. And obviously there is hopefully those really, really young cubs that we've seen. And there's still arguments to this day whether there's 3 or 4. It's not confirmed. Even with the researchers, they're arguing among themselves. So those little tiny black cubs that we found a week or 2 or so ago, still not confirmed if there's actually 3 of them or 4 of them. So I'm just hoping that they are indeed inside right now and they're safe. And hopefully mother will come along calling for them and it will be time to suckle. I can only hope that they're still there. Oh wow, we have a huge herd of elephants walking towards us in the distance. Let's take a look at them. It's always an active area here. And let's just show you all these beautiful elephants in the distance. Look at that, not too far away from us right now. They're just slowly making their way towards us. How beautiful. So we might stay here just marginally longer, just to see exactly what happens. But unfortunately, I've got this feeling that not much is going to happen and that people have disappeared. So worryingly so. But for now, we are going to send you across to Patrick, who is still on his search for lions.
Well, still cruising through looking for these Owinos. I did have to move off from that male lion. It just once again put itself in the worst position where the only frame we could get was just of its mane kind of sticking out of the grass. And as much as I love lions, it's just not worth looking at when you can just see a few hairs sticking out there. But that's all right. Still moving on and still looking for more lions. And now Michael Fleetwood said that it may be an Aldonio Pyack male, which completely makes sense considering where we are. It is the most likely of the options. It's just that broken canine that's making me wonder. But yes, I would have to agree somewhat with that as well. So we do apologise. You may have noticed that it has been all Mara this morning, and that is just because of those wretched little gremlinos coming in here and messing with our stuff. But rest assured, our tech team is working their little bottoms off trying to get the feed back up. But for now, you will just have to be with us in the Mara, which isn't a bad thing at all. So we have actually found some animals as well. We've got some topi up here. Let's stop and just have a quick look to break up all of this driving a little bit. Rhino Vic, yes, I didn't promise you guys a rhino the other day, but yesterday morning I was looking very hard for a rhino. I definitely will keep looking for rhinos in the future, but it's not something I want to do every single day, as they are tediously difficult to find out here. But don't worry, there will be many rhino searches coming in the future. But this morning it is more focused towards lions. And then if I can't pick up on these owinos, as I haven't been able to do over the last few days, well, then I will do a bit of a variety hour and just see what I can find along the river. Anyway, let's keep moving on from these topi. Just thought it would be nice to show you some antelope this morning. I can also see an alley off in the distance over there, so I might get a little bit closer to that one too. So I hear that Lauren has been speaking of our cooking in Dive Live, and I do have to admit Mexican night was one of the nights I definitely looked forward to. Lauren absolutely killed it when it came to Mexican night. I'm just going to stop here so we can see the elephant, because I am right at a bit of a lugger that I will not be able to cross. So I'll just sit here and we can see the elephant off in the distance before I reverse around and make my way safely through here without being marshmallowed yet again. There he is. Looks like a lone bull. Actually, it could be the same one I have been seeing quite a few times here in this exact area. So it seems like he's chilling out here for a while. We're a little bit of a distance, but further up was where yesterday I had an epic sighting. There was a huge herd of elephants. Well, it looks like things are firing up down at the hyena den. Some little cute cubbies that have decided to come out and show you their gorgeous little heads.
Things are still adorably cute. Look at this cub inside his mother's ear. Things are still adorable, absolutely adorable. So I've stayed here just to try and get some photos, if I can, on my personal camera for IDs. And of course, we still here. We really didn't move much. I do apologize about that. I find it hard to move. And of course, I think many of you are asking about Juma, and indeed they are trying their best. And of course, they are trying to get up and running. So we're just going to share this moment with the rest of the world. Bear with us. Welcome everybody. We are currently live here in the Masai Mara in Kenya with an adorable moment that we just want to share with y'all. My name is Lauren and I do have Bungay on camera. Now we have the hyena den with the hyenas here, but we also have a huge herd of elephants coming very, very close on the other side. Now it looks like they're going to walk right past the den at some point, and hopefully we can get a view of the hyenas and the elephants all at one point. How wonderful. This is a mixed herd with lots of young ones in it. I can't see if it's all males and females just yet. Most likely all females, but there might be a young male in there, but I can't see just now. And of course we have the hyenas suckling, and they don't seem to be aware of the elephant's presence whatsoever. So do talk to us, do ask some questions. This is just an adorable moment that we thought we could share with everybody. We have a mother hyena at the communal den, who is currently suckling her 2 very young cubs. Now, these cubs are just starting to get their spot pattern, just starting to get a little bit older. And of course, they were being very, very naughty earlier, but they have indeed settled down a little bit, and they are suckling, which is perfect for mother, because mother can get in some winks as well. Mothers are always very tired in the morning. Oh, I think the cubs spotted the elephants. It has. That is so cute. Look at it, just watching the elephants. Probably thinking, what on earth are these huge animals? They are a lot bigger than you, little cub. Look at that. That is really cute. The cub's looking at them very intently, and look how small it is. Mother's also spotted the elephants, but it's not a threat. They are just walking on by. There's no real danger here between any of these animals, but obviously for a cub of that size, it is very, very fascinating to watch these huge animals walk on by. Oh, that is just so adorable. And the elephants have been walking towards us for some time now. They're just passing through. They're just feeding and walking and eating as they go and just travelling on, while this little tiny adorable cub watches on. That cub's got a lot of learning to do, a lot of growing to do. Oh, isn't it just a wonderful moment? And the elephants are actually walking quite fast. They're really on a mission. They must be going to greener pastures or indeed some water hole. Let's get a little look of the cub watching these elephants. Just, oh, he just tripped. Tristan is asking, I think, when do cubs eat meat? And it's actually very fascinating because the cubs are suckled for a very long time. They do indeed stay on milk for, it's said to be up to 18 months, but there are some records of cubs suckling at 2 years. So let's go for the 18-month mark. They are genuinely suckled for a long time. And it is indeed said to be one of the richest milk in the animal kingdom. It was said to be the richest milk, but I do believe there's lots of investigations into other animals that also have rich milk. But it's incredibly rich milk, and it sustains them right up to sort of 18-month mark, and indeed it protects them. So when they are ready to start eating meat, obviously lots of carcasses can contain sorts of many different pathogens and bacteria, and sometimes hyenas are known to eat very, very putrid and old meat. So this is what protects the cubs. They get very big and strong on the milk, and then when they are eventually ready to eat meat, look at that, look at the elephants. They are sort of ready for it. Their stomachs and their digestive systems are indeed ready for it. So they suckle for quite some time, and it's just lovely to see. And indeed, their jaws, they are born with fully erupted canines, but their jaws don't quite spring properly into action. Why are you standing on Mummy? To get a better view of the elephants? I think you're going to fall. Yep, there we go. I knew it. The jaws don't spring into action till about 2 years old. So that is really when they can sort of really chew into tough meat and, of course, bones. Hyenas are known to eat bones. They crunch right through them, which sounds a little bit disturbing, but it is actually very good for them and increases the calcium in their body. This is indeed beautiful. It's a wonderful sight, and I'm so happy I got to share the elephants crossing on right by behind a beautiful hyena mother who is suckling her 2 young cubs. It's a very precious moment, and it does tend to happen right in the morning time as the sun is coming up, and right in that evening time. That's the best time to see the mothers suckling their cubs. Normally the cubs will be inside of this den. There's a hole, there's an entrance. They will be kept inside the den and very protected there. And the mother will genuinely call them out. She'll make some noise and summoning them, and they'll come out, and it will be time for suckling. They're very maternal animals. And I don't believe we've got... This one really wants its mother's tail. I don't know what he's going to do with the mother's tail, but indeed he seems to really want it. And we haven't got a sex on these cubs yet. It's notoriously difficult to sex the cubs at this age. You have to look very, very, very closely at the genitals, so it's indeed not easy. But I'm sure in the next month or two we will be able to identify if they're both females or both males or one of each. So fingers crossed we can get those answers for you soon. But let's take one more look at this adorable sighting in front of us. And thank you everyone for joining. It was great to have you on board. The drive will continue, so if you are interested in seeing more, just head over to YouTube and indeed type in Safari Live. But for now, thank you for jumping on board. And so we're back with you all who have been on our safari since this morning. I think Mother's trying to escape, but one is firmly attached here. That cannot be easy, can it? That was just a wonderful moment to share with a much wider audience. Very, very precious. There's something about seeing a mother in the animal kingdom with her offspring in any sort of species. It's a really, really wonderful thing to see. And here it's just been a perfect moment. All those elephants went by. I didn't actually count. I should have counted how many elephants there was. But there was a lot, definitely over 10, and there was absolutely no threat. Mother was relaxed, knowing that it wasn't an issue, and of course the elephants were relaxed. The cubs were very, very curious. They are such curious animals. There was even a possibility they might not have encountered an elephant before, actually, because they're mainly kept in the protective confines of the den. So yeah, there's a large possibility that that's the first time they spotted an elephant and probably got that scent. Hyenas are very olfactory focused. They rely quite heavily on their amazing sense of smell. That could actually be the first time that they've had the whiff of the glorious smell of an elephant. So that was indeed very precious for me, of course. Now I am hoping that we do get to see the other little cubs, but it's looking very unlikely if Mummy is not here. They do tend to respond at that very young age that the other cubs are. They do tend to respond solely to the mother when she calls them out. Yesterday, during observations, we saw Mother, and she did indeed summon her cubs. This was Remington, and her two cubs came out, but Crim's didn't. So even though they appear to be the very, very same age, it was just fascinating that because Crim was not there, her cub or cubs, we're still confused about that one, did not come out. So I thought that was really, really fascinating. The only cubs that came out was the ones of the mother who was calling. And some of you might have noticed we have not spotted Soup, the current matriarch. We haven't seen her. I have not seen her yet. Just completely not had a visual of her in any shape or form. And it does seem to be very highly likely that she is indeed having cubs of her own right now, and she's at a stage where she keeps them away from the communal den, and she'll keep them very, very safe and very protected in her own private den. So it's looking quite highly likely that that's where Soup is, and hopefully in the next few weeks, if this is the case, she will indeed bring them to the communal den. She is the matriarch, and this is exactly where she will bring them. So fingers crossed that we will have a little Soup supper soon running about. I can't actually imagine having any more cubs running around here. There is a very high number of cubs. I believe it's 15. If I am correct, it's round about the 15 mark of cubs that we currently have at the North Clan's End. So it's just fabulous. Michelle is saying hyena mothers have to be one of the most patient mothers. Do you know, I think it's difficult for any mother that provides maternal care, but I do think I agree with you, Michelle. They're very patient to suckle for that long. Their cubs are so naughty, and you can imagine suckling a cub. Well, I don't think we can imagine, but you know where I'm going with this. Suckling a young cub that has a full set of teeth, very sharp ones at that, cannot be easy. I cannot even begin to think how that would feel for the mother. They're very patient for them, and They're very kind to them, very loving. And of course, at some stage when these cubs get much older, they will start bringing sort of bits of meat and maybe a carcass to the den. And it will slowly be a process of teaching the cubs how to eat meat once they get to that appropriate age. And then, of course, the cubs will eventually have to leave with the mothers and with the rest of the clan and learn to hunt. They're fantastic hunters, especially out here in the Mara. And they have such a high success rate on their hunts that eventually that time will come when the cubs have to learn. So yes, Michelle, I think they are one of the most patient mothers in the animal kingdom. And it's just wonderful to see. I love seeing maternal care. And of course, not animals do give it. And not all animals give it for that long. It's a very, very long time. Red Butterfly is asking, do hyena adults ever leave the cubs at the den all alone? Yes, they do. So the cubs are right inside. So you see where Mummy is lying here? That is actually the entrance hole to the den. So she's sort of blocking the entrance, if you like. And there should... I say should because I'm a little bit concerned at the moment, but there should be other cubs inside there. The cubs of Remington and Crim should be tucked away, nestled inside the protective boundaries of the den. Now, they're not coming out because their mothers are not here, but these little cubbies that you can see are still quite young. So mother will, of course, have to leave. She will have to hunt. She will have to go in the search of food for herself because she obviously needs to stay very strong and fit because she is a mother. And it is said that mothers can leave their cubs up to quite some time. So that's obviously, they're protected, they're in the den, they shouldn't come out, they really, really shouldn't be wandering about, they should stay inside the den, and she will always come back if nothing happens to her to feed them. So yes, they are left alone, and there's a lot of predators out here, especially lions. I think that's the biggest problem, and the cubs need to stay in the den for protection. So if they were to come out when no adult was here, that would be a huge problem. So that is the way hyenas work. The mothers will leave, and that's possibly why we've not seen Remington and Crim. Even though there's little cubbies inside that den, we might not actually be seeing the mothers because the mothers may be going to sort of get some food for themselves and stock up on nutrition and get their full bellies in order to be producing milk. Wonderful, rich milk for these little cubs, which is high in protein, calcium, and has a very high fat content to sustain these little cubs right up until about the 18-month mark. So yes, they do leave the cubs. But for the likes of Swim and Life, who are slightly older, they're looking like a real hyena now, proper little hyena, just on a miniature scale. The mother has obviously moved them. Ramon has moved them, and they're just following mother at this moment. So once they do get older, they will obviously hang outside of the den a lot more and start to follow mothers on their missions. So I think I've spoke enough about hyenas, which is just something I never get bored about. But for now, let's go across and see exactly what Patrick is up to.
Just bear with me whilst I reverse back up here. I just came back on to this little area here because it looks like a perfect lookout. So I just did a bit of a binocular scan and nothing. So I think if I've been getting the name of the Lion King today, I think Lauren can definitely take the title of the Hyena Queen, or perhaps the human hyena matriarch. Something along those lines. She's been doing a very great job with the hyenas, in particular the North Clan, showing a lot of investment, even taking time out of her own time. That's even taking time out of her own time, I guess that works, to go out with the hyena research team and actually go with them on their observation drive. So very dedicated stuff there. So I was really hoping that I could pick back up on these 4 young males that I did see here yesterday, but they also seem to have moved off. So it's just this one male that, well, for as far as I know, it's not like I have searched every inch of this area, but from just the last 4 days, just only seeing this guy and these 4 males, it's yeah, just no one. I haven't heard any reports at all of the Owinos as well. I have absolutely no idea where they have gotten to. I've been searching far and wide in their territory and just nothing. So anyway, I am still continuing on the search for a bit longer, just as I come back around, and this path will eventually take me back to one of the main roads, where I will then go to the river. Bad Knee is asking, do I prefer the roads in the Mara compared to Juma? Well, the main roads are really great here in the Mara. It's almost like a city road, except more dirt and more sands, but they're nice and wide, very easy to navigate, and obviously because we can see so far here in the Mara that you can really, it's quite easy to stay orientated. But in Juma, there is less tedious roads, so the off-road roads here in the Mara, or the tracks that come off the road, are quite tedious, especially after it's been raining a bit, whereas in Juma, it's not so bad after a rain, because there is a lot of kind of sturdier roads, if you want to say that. So yeah, it really depends, but some of the tracks, especially the ones up in Sausage Tree territory here, are very rough after a rain. It's also completely different kind of soils. Here in the Mara, we've got very fertile, very dark soils, and in the Mara, it's sandy, very sandy, not a whole heap of nutrients. So I'm seeing a whole heap of buffalo just to my left up here, so we'll make my way up that way. Perhaps there is a hungry lion hanging around. Sometimes it does help to go to the prey to find predator. Although when buffalo are in a large herd, it does make it a bit harder, but you never know, the attraction just might be here. This is sort of up near where I found the second Owino hunt. So the second buffalo hunt is more up this way, so a bit further up the escarpment. I've been using this for orientation the whole drive now, so I started way back there. And now heading a lot of direction and further now. The sun is starting to heat up now, but it's not overly hot. Yesterday morning it heated up very, very quickly. Dash is wondering how the sun compares to Australia. Well, as I've been saying today, it is quite harsh here. It does have that bite. But where I come from in South Australia, I've heard that we're right under the ozone layer, or the hole in the ozone layer, sorry. And so the sun really, really burns. So to put this into context, I was up in Darwin, which is the very top, the very northern end of Australia. And I was out in the sun all day, every day, with hardly any protection, no sunscreen, and didn't get burnt once. And so Darwin is a tropical area, and where I live in South Australia is quite temperate, and it was winter there. So I was in the sun all day in the dry season, not getting burnt in Darwin, and then in the middle of winter on a 15 °C day, so that would be somewhere in the mid to late 50 degrees Fahrenheit, and I got burnt to a crisp just being out in the sun for a very short period of time. So the sun burns down in Australia. And here it is still the same, but it's just not quite as harsh. Yeah, starting to kind of acclimate to it a little bit. I'm not really getting burnt anymore. Yeah, and it reached high temperatures, high 40 Celsius I was getting in Australia, which would be well over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. Here we usually get around mid-30s at the absolute maximum, which is around 90 to 100 degrees Fahrenheit. I'm still getting there with my Fahrenheit to Celsius conversions. It's one of the more trickier ones because it's not set in stone, you know. For pounds, you just multiply by 2.2. That's quite easy. Divide by 2.2. And for feet, it's roughly about 3 times, not exactly 3 times, but roughly. So you just do that quick multiplication. But Fahrenheit to Celsius is a little bit more tedious. Perhaps we should start talking about temperature in Kelvin. No, let's definitely not do that. Kelvin is another scale of reading at temperature used a lot in chemistry. And I think it starts at about, I think 0 degrees Celsius is something like 273 degrees Kelvin, something along those lines. But no, that was a complete joke. Let's not start doing the temperature in Kelvin. But yeah, it's cool, the weather at the moment, having both the equinox and the full moon. As we all saw this morning, the full moon was very bright. Lily Rev, I think I got that name right. So the migration depends a lot on rain. So last year it was a bit later because of the later rains, but migration will tend to start about late July, perhaps late June, so but yeah, around September. So June, July, September is when you can sort of start, late June through July, and then September is when you can sort of expect it to come. But of course, with climate change and the change in weather, it all depends on the rains. So it's anyone's guess as to when it will come this year thus far. I know that Lauren is hoping that it does come in late June because that is when she is here until. So I'm hoping for Lauren's sake that she does get to catch a bit of the migration, seeing as she's having such a long stint up here. It would be nice to see. And I'm also hoping I can come across for the migration. I've heard it is quite hectic in terms of traffic and people coming here to see it, so there's quite a few more vehicles. But there is plenty more to see as well. I've heard it is just an absolutely epic experience. Anyway, let's go back down to Lauren, the woman of the hour. Thank you for getting all of this show's content, as I'm coming up with not much.
Oh, I do apologise. You have indeed caught me in the middle of my banana and peanut butter. I decided there's not many people in the world who get to have breakfast with the hyenas. So I'm having some breakfast with the hyenas right now. And I do apologise. It's not very nice to eat and talk, but my banana and peanut butter with the hyenas. How wonderful is that? So I'm not sure the hyenas would like my banana or my peanut butter. Or would they? That's a very good question, actually. Would they? Now, just seconds before you arrived with us, both Bongay and I had the most incredible noise. I can't hear it now. Can you, Bongay? No. I don't know if it was a hyena or not. It's coming from very close by. And it was a sound like I have not ever heard before. I really can't quite pinpoint what it was, neither can Bungay. So we're going to keep our ears open because that could potentially mean that something exciting is going on around us. That was an incredible noise. Anyway, let's just keep our ears open. I obviously have an earpiece in one of my ears, but I'll keep the other one open. And let's see if we could potentially hear that noise again. I do feel like it was very hyena-ish. And obviously Pat was talking about the migration. I cannot wait for that. Hopefully I will catch some of it or be here for some of it. And I hear the North Clan are very successful in the migration, and you really get to see what a tight unit and a successful predator hyenas really are. Crystal's asking me something and I missed it because once again I was talking and I've got my peanut butter here and my banana, and yes, Nina will repeat it. I'm terrible. Once I get really into my stories, I sometimes forget to actually listen. Oh, I get it now, Crystal said. Breakfast with a hyena is #1 on my bucket list. Oh, Crystal, I do hope you get to that one day. You can always come out and visit us and experience it. But unfortunately, I am hungry. And if I didn't eat something, you would begin to think there was lions roaring nearby, but it would indeed be my stomach. So I think having breakfast with these two while these little cubbies are having their breakfast is probably one of life's most exceptional experience. But I really hope you get to do it one day, Crystal, because it feels very lovely. But I think they would much rather have something else than peanut butter and banana. However, it's all I've got for this morning, so I'm sticking with it. And of course, I mean, hyenas are said to eat anything, to be honest. And they're said to be one of the most successful large successful carnivores in Africa. And a lot of people don't realise that, because I think we do tend to see them scavenge more than hunting. And of course, this is not the case. This just tends to be what is observed. And obviously, when they're adults, not these little cubbies, they have massive jaw muscles, which is why their head and their skull is shaped in such a way. And basically, their teeth and their molars are designed to, well, completely pulverise the bones for minerals, all the minerals and calcium they get, and even the fatty marrow. Like, they can get through everything, and they are said to eat a lot of hair and even hooves, which they will regurgitate later. So that could be what Waffles was doing the other day, for those who was watching. She was really regurgitating in front of us, and it wasn't very pleasant, but it could just be that she'd ate a huge meal, possibly an antelope, and was just regurgitating the parts that really can't be digested or can really sort of pass through. Maybe that's indeed exactly what she was doing. So hyenas are just said to utilize every part, which I think is pretty impressive. They will eat a lot, and that is why their milk is so rich, and that is why they are really healthy, successful animals. They're said, according to science, to not really get sick. And let's take the example of Corky in the Avoca male. I refer to this a lot. She got quite hexically injured. It was quite a severe wound on her back, and she healed. Lots of hyenas heal and they bounce back. I've heard stories of hyenas being hit by cars and having terrible incidents with lions, and they bounce right back. They really heal, and that is probably because they get so much nutrition from everything that they do eat. It's definitely not peanut butter and banana. And of course, they're said to just have such a strong stomach acid. So there's lots of studies going into this, and the pH of their stomach is said to be so low, which of course means the hydrochloric acid is much higher, so therefore they can sort of process anything through that digestive system. Obviously, the higher the gastric acid, it can destroy any sort of pathogenic bacteria which is ingested in the putrid meat. So they can really eat, and it may not be too nice what they eat, but they do indeed survive. And of course, they don't allow it to reach the intestines. So by absolutely blasting it with this really strong stomach acid in the stomach, it doesn't really give it a chance to reach the intestines, if you like, and then cause an imbalance in the gut flora. So they're very successful, and that's just one of the many factors that contribute to their success. And I was just asked how long they live for. Didn't quite catch who it was by, so Nina will indeed repeat that for me. But it's a good question, and it's actually something that I was just talking about with the hyena girls, because once again, depending on which I got the question, Nina, I just didn't get who it was from. So yes, depending on which book you read depends on exactly what answer you're going to get, which is quite frustrating sometimes, but generally you read around 20 years. Now, honestly, in my opinion, that would not be so accurate for the wild. I think this figure is quite based on captivity. I think the question was from Mr. Tick. And there is hyenas. There's one on record, I think, at 16 years old. And we do believe, now this is not accurate, the hyena researchers don't have a birth date for Waffles, but it is believed that she's around 13, or at least the 12 and 13 year mark. So I think a better estimate for hyenas in the wild would sort of be around 15 years old. But they probably can live longer, but obviously they've got a lot more challenges to face in the wild than they do in captivity. So sometimes when you read different texts, especially regarding lifespan, it can sort of be taken from captivity, which isn't too accurate. So I would say around 15, 16. I think 20 is just a little bit too high for a hyena in the wild. But of course, you always get exceptions to the rule. Always, always, always. So following Waffles right now and her lineage is going to be fantastic to get a better idea. Dash is saying, if cats have 9 lives and hyenas have 12. Oh, absolutely. The amount of things these animals go through, the battles that they face, the wounds that they carry are pretty phenomenal. So Dash, I completely agree with you. Apparently there's a hyena from the South Clan who is missing both her ears, or obviously the lobes. She obviously can still hear. She's missing a lot of teeth. Her face is heavily scarred, and I believe there's lots of chunks missing out of her body. So I can't imagine she is the most aesthetically pleasing hyena to look at, but indeed she survived. And she's a very friendly and very curious hyena. She's just missing lots of body parts, which is very sad. But they do battle, and of course they are extreme predators that do hunt, so they will sustain injuries, they will clash with other predators, and if the hunt goes wrong they could of course be quite hectically injured. So hyenas have it tough, and they really roll with it, and they survive, and I guess they just are really the superb predators that they don't really get enough credit for being. So going back to the migration, I just cannot wait to see, whether I'm here or not, the hyenas in action. Apparently the North Clan are absolutely astounding in everything they do at the migration, and I would just absolutely love to see that happening before my eyes. But either way, I'm sure you will all get to see it. And the North Clan, bless me, I just sneezed, sorry. I've been sneezing all morning, I'm not entirely sure what it is. I do apologise about that. I do have little rabbit sneezes. Everyone in camp does laugh at me when I sneeze. However, apologies, that did interrupt what I was trying to say. And of course now I can't remember, which is wonderful. But it was about the migration, and it was about the North Clan just really being fabulous at it. So everyone's getting rather sleepy here. Everything's really quieting down, and very soon, I imagine, if I was to guess, these cubs are going to be back inside. It has been a wonderful morning spending with them, but a part of me does think I should get bumbling. I'm not sure what you all think, but there are, of course, many things out there I want to see. Lisa's asking a good question, and I guess I'm not entirely too sure about, and it's how do hyenas find their den? So I'm not really sure what criteria they exactly look for when sort of going to the home improvements category of the catalogue, but they do tend to find a burrow just like this. So if we can get Bongay to give us a little bit of a wider view, you can see this one is actually perfect for me. If I was choosing a den and I was a hyena, this would be the absolute perfect one. It's got a huge entrance. For me, it appears like it can be quite deep. It's also protected with those shrubs and bush. So actually, when you're driving to it from the other side, it's very difficult to see because there's, oh, hello little birds. Do you know that you're walking right into hyenas with your little chicks? Oh, another interaction between two completely different species. We just had elephants, and now, let me just take a closer look at these birds. There's 1, 2, 3 little chicks, and an adult, obviously, a mummy. Oh, the cubs have noticed you. I would be careful, guys. These cubs are very playful and they do have teeth. So, oh, here we go. Yes, I think that's the correct thing. I think it would be best to move. Because these cubs are very playful and one wrong paw swipe and it could end in disaster. I'm not even sure I've seen this bird before. Wow, incredible. Oh. Okay, the hyena cub just scared itself. It tried to go for the bird and then realised it's probably not a good idea and ran back to mum. Oh, now we're venturing out again. So what a morning for that little cub. Elephants and lots of visitors at the den. Very cute. Now, I didn't finish that question, so sorry, I better go back to it. So, how do they choose their den? I would genuinely just say the location, the sort of level of protection from the bushes and the shrubbery and the vegetation, and maybe how deep it is and how maze-like it is inside. It is said to be quite a maze inside a hyena den, because it will indeed protect all the cubs that are in there. There can be quite a high number of cubs, so I'm not sure how they choose it. I guess if something was to happen at this den, or they were to relocate, they would obviously maybe choose an area or somewhere that they've been before where they've been relatively safe, maybe away from all the sort of known dangers, potentially close to food resources for the mother. I mean, right here, there's a lot of topi around. There's Thompson's gazelle. There's a lot happening. So again, I'm not entirely sure how they choose the criteria, but they will obviously look at the interior of the disused burrows, and they will obviously check if it's sort of deep enough and safe enough so that no bigger animal can actually get into the entrance hole. The mothers cannot get in there. As much as I think they would love to try, you have to be a very small cub to get in the den. So I guess they would just check out the interiors. Maybe they even check out 1 or 2 dens before making a decision. So Lisa, I'm really not sure about that, but it is a really good question. It's definitely worth thinking about. And I did get asked another question. I'm a bit behind because I got interrupted by that lovely interaction between 2 different species here, so I'm sure Nina will give it to me again and I'll get on it. How does a hyena react to something? From Joy in Hong Kong. I'd love to go to Hong Kong. How does a hyena react to... I'm waiting on Nina filling in the blanks here. Oh, the sound. Sorry about that. The sound, yes. They didn't. They actually didn't. It was just Bungay and I that heard it and thought, what on earth is that? It was very loud. They actually didn't react at all, which is, again, strange. So it was definitely an animal sound, and I'm really not entirely sure what it came from, which is why I would like to get bumbling. I think I know which direction it came from. It's actually quite difficult to determine the direction of sound. I personally find that a challenge sometimes. You really have to stop and listen, but I do find it a little bit tricky. So that is why I'm thinking we should bumble, take the risk, see what we can see, and I think the noise was coming from this direction. Would you agree, Bungay? He agrees. So at least if we drive this way, we could potentially see exactly what the noise was coming. I felt like it sounded very hyena-ish, if that makes any sort of sense, but it might not have been. We heard it twice, and our lovely hyenas here did not react, did you? Oh, one of us has got a stick, as usual. They love their sticks. If I was a stick, I'm sure we'd all have such a hard time. So I am going to pack away my banana and peanut butter. Excuse me, I was happily munching, so I'm just going to pack that away somewhere safe. And indeed, we are going to start our bumble. As much as I don't really want to leave my little family here. Bye, guys. They all look at you as if to say, where are you going? I thought you were hanging out with us and having breakfast. Have a good day. They feel absolutely no threat from the cars, none whatsoever. The hyena researchers have been here for 27 years, I believe, which is a very long time. just slightly younger than I, and they're very habituated and accustomed to the cars. So we obviously don't go too close, and I always just let my engine run for just a little bit so they get used to the noise before I start moving. I don't want to give them a fright, especially the little cubbies, but indeed they're completely accustomed to it, which is a good thing because you don't want to get scared every time they see a vehicle. Now, of course, if they had a bad interaction with a vehicle, then they may potentially become scared. Of course, it would become a fear for them. But if the vehicles all behave and there's no such thing as a bad interaction, then they are absolutely accustomed. So our bumble begins, people. So while we get out of this sort of off-roading area, we are going to send you back across to Patrick to see what he's up to.
Well, I am officially switching back over into Bumble mode now. So we went all the way along the escarpment, all the way along, and came up with nada. There was a lone buffalo right at the very end that I thought might be worth checking out, but there was nothing around it. So we pretty much came all the way up into sausage tree territory towards the end of that. And so now I'm just going to get myself out of this area where there is not a whole heap happening. I'm going to head towards the river now and hopefully find some very cool animals, maybe a cool bird or two to show you all. And yeah, just mix things up a little bit. I haven't been across that way in quite some time. Been spending time down by the river sort of more towards the north, but not so much across this way. And it's been a while, so yeah, just got to get out of here first, where there is no real animals to see. The odd bird. There's a yellow-throated longclaw flying along. Thought might land nicely, but Walto, no, I have never seen an aardwolf in my life. That is another thing I would very much like to see, but no such luck with anything like that. I haven't even seen an aardvark, to be honest. So both of them I would very, very much like to see. There's a few little African animals that I would want to cross off my list. Aardvark and pangolin being the main two. Be so cool to see. We see aardvark tracks quite a bit back in Juma, but the animal itself is very elusive. Very elusive indeed. Of course, comes out mostly at night as well, which makes it that bit trickier. So where I'm heading right now is pretty much in between Owino and Sausage Cheerio. Indigo Girl is excited to be heading down to the river, and I'm excited to be taking you down there. It is just a little bit of a stretch from where we are there, but I'll make it there in due time. Up on my right, it looks like we're approaching yet another large herd of ellies. So I will just get a bit closer up and then we can have a quick look at them again to break up this drive a little bit. So you're not always looking at me driving and talking. Wow, this may be the herd I did actually come across yesterday. It seems to be about the same size, maybe a little bit smaller. Perhaps a couple of the herds have split off from the mega herd. But still plenty to be seen here. So here we go with these Ellies. Quite a big herd here. Of a mixed range. I'm sure there's a lot of young'uns in there that we can't see right now because of the long grass. It is a strange thought to think that he can't see an elephant because of the grass, but the babies are quite small. It looks like there's a heap of what looks to be storks or cranes being chased by one of the Ellies there. That was a bit of a laugh. And we did have a question, I believe it was from Purple, was it? Someone Purple, asking, aren't aardvarks and aardwolf the same thing? No, the aardwolf is it's an insectivore, but it is a small mammal, kind of looks like, I don't know, kind of a mashup of a hyena and a jackal. If that's the best description I can give it, is a mashup of a hyena and a jackal. It's with a bit of a lighter coat, and yeah, it's a very cool looking animal, and it's definitely something that I would love to see found in East and Southern Africa. Oh, very nice Ellies all around here in the Mara. Let's see what else I can find on this bumble. It is a bit of a bumbly day now. It's nice weather for it. A little bit of a breeze. The sun, as I said, just hasn't really got that kick to it that it had yesterday morning. Although I would expect it would, seeing as this equinox has started. But I think it's just this breeze. There's a nice breeze keeping everything nice and cool. So hopefully we can get a bit of activity. May even stop in and see if we can see a hippo or a crocodile or two. Who knows? You never know what you're going to find when you come down to the river. It's always exciting prospects. Saw a couple of cool birds, but they flew off. Looked like juvenile batilias. Caroline wants to know how far we drive from camp. Well, it all depends on where we are going, really. So right now I'm probably about 26 kilometres away from camp, which is probably about 15 miles, maybe a little bit less. And where the river is probably about the same distance. It's just a little bit more to the front of me right now. If we're with the Olololos, generally that's very close to camp. Sometimes we don't even have to drive a kilometre, a half mile to find the Olololos. If we want to go up and find cheetah near that really epic cheetah sighting I had the other night, right up near the Tanzanian border, that's about 40 kilometres, so that's a bit of a longer drive. But the thing that makes it all a bit slower as well is the speed limit is 50 kilometres an hour here, so probably about 25 to 30 miles an hour. And so it makes those drives a little bit longer. But yeah, we do drive a long distance, and usually we're not just out for the 3-hour drive. Most days we'll stay out for about 6 to 7 hours. So we really do clock up the kilometres when we come out here. But these beautiful babies handle it well. You have to very much rely on these vehicles out here. They are our bread and butter, so to speak. Does take its toll on the old lower back though, driving it. Sometimes we are just constantly driving for hours and hours on end. So it's very, very, very to unwind with some yoga after a drive, or even just a little bit of a body scan meditation. Just tell all the muscles to relax. It's time to chill out now. I think without that I would become very tight and very wound up. Oh. There's a bit of a dead bird on the road there. It looks like it had been half eaten by something. This road is a bit of a stretch, as I have mentioned, and so please do bear with me as I make my way along. I'm just keeping my eyes out for side of the road birds at the moment. There's a lot of little passerines flying about, but they're just not really landing very well and stopping for us to get a good look at. Well, I am not the only one bumbling now. It seems Lauren has switched over into bumble mode too, and is there no better place to bumble than the Masai Mara?
I am indeed bumbling, but I did just have a chat to another vehicle and got some updates on cheetah, which is exactly what I was after. So we're bumbling with a purpose. Whether we get there, whether we don't, is yet to be determined. But I'm really, hyenas are my number one. Absolutely, hyenas are at the top. But cheetahs are fast becoming my second. I'm crazy about these animals. So if Pat's the Lion King, I'm going to try and become the cheetah princess and try and get as many interactions and as many sightings with them as I can. It's not easy, but it's always worth the shot. You got to take the risk. You got to just make that decision and go. So it's not easy leaving the mother and cubs, but you do have to go for it. And many people, including my own mother, by the way, asks, why hyenas? I mean, what on earth? And the only thing I can think of, apart from the fact that they're awesome, is Miss Patterson. So when you do get the chance to catch up with Jamie later on, you can ask her, is this her fault? I don't know. I think it is. She was my mentor and still is my mentor, and indeed I think she influenced her hyena ways upon me. So I was telling everyone this hilarious story last night. I took a wonderful photo of Tandy after she just finished mating with Tingana. Some of you might remember this, and she climbed up a tree and just kind of in the tree. She looked very fat, very full, and obviously very exhausted. So I took a photo, I showed it to my mum, and my mum said, "Oh, that's a lovely cheetah, Lauren." I said, "Mum, what? It's a lovely cheetah." I'm like, oh goodness, okay. So after a long explanation later, I was showing her all my photos. I showed her one of the most amazing sightings we've had with wild dogs. Of course we weren't live. It was a training drive back in the day when the whole pack came and had a drink at Ruotella Pan. So I showed her the photos and she went, "Oh, hyenas, Lauren, you're such a good photographer." So I obviously don't get any of my knowledge from my mother. I cannot credit her at all. She also hates the water, so my mermaid element of me does not come from my mother. So yes, anyway, she tries. So we are indeed looking for a cheetah, an actual cheetah, not the leopard kind of cheetah. And it's a little bit off this way. It's where we did actually sight the lionesses the other days, and apparently they've made a kill. Don't know who it is, don't know which cheetah it is. Apparently it's two, which makes me think it's the same two that Pat had, and it could be the mother and son. But that is just a speculation. Do not hold me to that. So that is what I'm looking for, people. So I really need you to send your good vibes my way. Now, cheetahs do like it nice and open. They can be found in the sort of more dense areas as well, but they just generally tend to prefer it, which makes it much easier for us to try and find them. So I'm just going to head into that area and just see what I can find, and hopefully, I mean, it may be nothing, it may be something. It's just worth the risk. Yay, I knew you, James. I knew you would be happy with the cheetah. Yes, I am also trying to keep tabs on Busara. but unfortunately she's escaped our clutches for the time being, but she is around. So I've made it my mission. I'm in touch with a lot of people to get as much information as I can. I also get a lot of updates. I'm sure some of you have seen them on Facebook about the 5 Musketeers. They're still going very, very strong, and it is my dream to meet them. So indeed, they're not in an area that we can get to right now. They're actually very, very far away, but I am keeping tabs on all the cheetahs, so that hopefully, we had a fantastic week with Busara. We were seeing her every single day, and it was just so good to have an interaction with an animal that we tend to not see so often. So I am going to change all of that. So fingers crossed. Sometimes you've got to take the updates from other guides with a little bit of a pinch of salt, or maybe a large pinch of salt, Himalayan salt potentially. But you've got to take it with a pinch of salt and go and just investigate for yourself and hope that you can see something. But the news is that they've made a kill. And if that is the case, if that is correct, then of course they should still be there and they should still be with the kill. So fingers crossed for that. And of course we do have elephants. You just can't drive anywhere without bumping into elephants. I think Patrick had just had some elephants just now as well, wherever in the reserve he is. Hello, beautiful elephants. Now I can't drive past them because that's just incredibly rude. So let's just take a little look at them. I think they've got some gorgeous young ones with them as well. So let's just take a look as we go on our mission for the cheetahs. Tanstar's asking, is SafariLive still on South African television? What an excellent question. Now, we're currently on a break in between seasons, and we will indeed be coming back to the South African television very, very soon. So we do hope that you all tune into our SABC3 show. It is indeed something that we work very, very hard for, and it just gives us a little bit of a different sort of aspect on things. It's a different format, if you like, but it still is completely and utterly live. So we're going live again on SABC3 on the 7th of April. So there you go. There you have it. And I still will be up in the Mara at that time. So indeed, we hope we have lots of sightings. And look at this, isn't this adorable? Good morning, Ellies. They're staying very, very close together, actually. Sometimes you can see a herd. Baker's saying my favourites. Yes, me too. I feel very, maybe it's the British part of me, but I feel very rude when I drive past elephants this magnificent. And I mean, you can see a herd that it can be really split up, you know, but this herd in particular is staying very, very, very close together right now, quite a tight-knit herd. And you can see there's lots of young ones, lots of sort of older ones, probably some teenagers in there. And right at the front, if we take a look at the leader, appears to be tuskless. I don't see any tusks on this individual. I'm trying to just get a peek. Obviously, I can only see her right side. Yeah, I don't think she has one on the left side either. Wow, isn't that incredible? A tuskless individual, which does of course happen. It does of course occur. It's not necessarily unusual. With males, it can be slightly different. Males can lose their tusks for all sorts of reasons, especially fighting and doing boyish, testosterone-fueled things. But with females, it can actually be genetics. It can just be genetic that she doesn't have tusks. Oh, fabulous. A tusk. I wonder if that's a matriarch as well. She is in the front, but that doesn't mean she's a matriarch, of course. Wow, incredible. Now, I have been getting asked on a daily basis differences between elephants and Namara in Djuma. So it's not something I want to answer again. I've answered it many times, but I have, the more time I've sort of spent with elephants and seeing them on a daily basis, I have noticed a slight difference. Now, in size, no. Many people are obsessed with the size. Size, no. But tusks, I've noticed a difference in the tusk. In the Mara, now this is just a general Lauren observation. In the Mara, I'm going to drive as we talk so we can get there. The tusks tend to be, I feel, longer and thinner. out here, the tusks, I've seen elephants with tusks that go right down. It's incredibly long. And I feel that they're thinner, sharper and longer. Whereas in Juma, I feel like, they tend to be a bit shorter and fatter. Now again, I'm not sure the reason for that being. That is just a personal observation that I feel, because I've been getting asked it a lot. So that's just something that I've spent time looking at. I just feel there's a slight difference. Now Janice was also wondering if that female was the matriarch. I'm afraid I can't answer until you can actually be an observer and spend a lot of time with a herd of elephants, and I'm talking quite some time, to really watch behaviour and interactions. It's impossible to tell. So for anyone to just see a herd of elephants and just say that's the matriarch because she's either at the front or she's the biggest, that to me that's really incorrect. You can't do that. I've read a lot of books on the matriarch and elephant herds. It really fascinates me, and it's not possible. You really have to spend time just observing different things and the way they interact, and you will see how elephants eventually respond to the matriarch, and it will be obvious the one who's sort of making the calls and calling the shots. But from an observation like that, it's not possible to tell, I'm afraid. But yeah, good point, Janice. So for now, we're just going to try and get a little bit further ahead. I'm going to put my foot down. And while I do that, we are going to send you across to Patrick.
Well, still making my way to the river. I kind of misjudged just how far off I was, but not to fret. I will eventually make it there with time to show you all of the cool critters that we get down in that area. But some days out here you feel like you have an animal magnet on the car, and some days it feels like you have the polar opposite on the car, an animal repellent of some description. Perhaps it's because I didn't shower this morning. Animals find me a bit repulsive at the moment. Not to worry though, it's still a beautiful day for a drive out here. It's, yeah, unfortunately just those gremlins sinking their nasty claws down in Juma. Sorry, that was a bit of a wild patch there. I've been slowing down to stop. It's happened about 4 times in a row now. I've slowed down to show a bird, and as soon as my foot just touches the brake, off they will fly. I would really like to show you all a secretary bird today. I actually saw one back in the Owino territory, but it was again in that long grass and just too difficult to view. I think that's why I've been having so much success lately down at the river way down, where I've been the last few days finding lions and grey-crowned cranes and hippos and all sorts. It's because there's a high number of herbivores there, a high number of grazers, and it's keeping the grass nice and short, and so everything is very visible. Makes it a lot easier. And then of course I've been seeing on the other side, over the Tanzanian border, there's been a lot of plumes of smoke. They've been doing some controlled burns over there, keeping the grass nice and short over in the Serengeti. But I have been told that they only do that every couple of years here. They do have a bit of a regimen for the burns over here, but it's a lot less frequent than the Serengeti. Actually, something that was thought up by the Australian Aboriginals was the burning of land, the controlled burning of land, should I add. They used it to help them to hunt and also to regenerate the forest. And I had a theory as to why that helps them hunt, well, as how they came up to it. up with it. So the Aboriginals in Australia are very, very in touch with the land. Spending time with them up north when I was up there last year, just their knowledge of the land and how it works. You know, this flower is blooming here, so therefore these birds are going to be in this area, which means if we hunt there, then we're going to get this X amount of species. It's just crazy. But I reckon, this is just my own personal theory, it's not based on anything, I think that they watched, well, sorry, I'm not stuck, I promise, just stalled it. So up north, when there is a fire, you'll notice all of the eagles, all of the wedge-tailed eagles will sit on the outskirts and just wait for all of the little rodents and anything else that's hiding away in the scrub to come out, and they hunt them that way. So the fire essentially draws them in them and then they can ambush it out. And I think from sitting and watching, this may have been where the Aboriginals did get the idea from. Like I said, just personal opinion, but it's just, yeah, it's a little theory that I had. I really, really wish I could be as in touch with Mother Nature as some of the cultures are up there. It would probably make this job a lot easier. But beautiful people, beautiful culture. So it looks like we're starting to get back into animal territory. There's a huge herd of topi up here. Let's come up a bit closer. Everyone was thinking it's very interesting with the Aboriginals and my discussion there. Yes, it is. It's quite an interesting, I mean, the whole history is very interesting. They were the first ever recorded culture to farm fish. So down in the south of Australia, kind of around Victoria, South Australian area, they used to set up they used to block off areas of water and actually farm eels. So that was the first ever records of fish farming or of aquaculture, which is very fascinating. They had a lot of very clever adaptations to living in such harsh environments. Some parts of Australia are very, very harsh. And let's stop here. Look at all of these topi, so many. I think I can see Lauren off in the distance there as well. If you see the car on the left, I think that's Lauren. Hello, Lauren. Wow, I've never seen such a large congregation of topi before. You see some playing off in the left as well. Just running about as we so often see topi do. And again, just like with those alleys, it looks like there's a whole mixed bag of ages here. Showing a bit of dominance, this one here. These are pretty hard to tell the difference between male and female topis. Lauren's waving at us. Let's give her a wave. There she is. Lauren, you are live. You are live. Very cool. So I did hear that she's off after a cheetah. So I bid her very good luck in that. So I had to estimate, I'd say 60 to 70 in this herd here. Lots and lots of topi. And no signs of any predator. Safety in numbers. But yes, as I was saying, hard to tell the difference between the two, the males and the females. And I actually read something I wasn't aware of. I was just looking up at the taxonomy of topis and how they fit into the antelopes, and they are actually a subspecies of Cesabe, which was something I did not know. So they are actually Cesabe, just a subspecies, which very interesting stuff. Anyway, onwards. It's good to start being in an area a bit more densely populated with animals. That took me by surprise, seeing Lauren up here. I thought she was way away. Carapel, what do we call a large group of topi like this one? Well, I have always only called them a herd. I am certain, well, I'm fairly certain that there would be a collective term for topi, but what that would be, I actually have not looked into that. Yeah, so I'm not sure if there is one specific to topi, but I've always just called them a herd. But if anyone does know whether there is a collective term specifically for topi, please do let me know using that hashtag SafariLive or the YouTube chat stream. Nina read my mind. She was just saying in my ear as I was saying that I should throw this one over to the viewers. And while I do that, let's admire these beautiful, beautiful grey-crowned cranes here. So if anyone was watching yesterday's drive, they would have seen that I had about 10 of them all in the one little area, but this is how we do usually see them. When they are in a mating pair, they will form monogamous bonds once they have found a mate and mate for life. Now, I'm not actually sure of how many colours are on the grey-crowned crane, but let's just stop for a second and see if we can count. So we've got burgundy on the back, yellow on the crest and in the back. We have the white there and the black on the head and the body, and then grey neck and red gular sac, that's called. That red bit under their neck there, the gular sac. So that was, what, 7 colours? That's almost reaching on the lilac-breasted roller. Of course, a different colour set indeed, but yeah, beautiful bird. Absolutely wonderful. I never ever tire of spending time with the grey-crowned crane. Looks like they're taking a bit of a drink there as well. Poking their head up to make sure nothing else is around. So when they do want to find a mate, they will do a nuptial dance, it is called, where they will bob their head up and down. And hang on, if we put the camera on me, let's see if I can demonstrate it. So if we pretend that my head is the head of a grey-crowned crane and that my arms are wings, it's kind of like and so the male and the female will both be involved in this dance, although it is usually initiated by the male. And that is just a beautiful thing about a lot of bird species, is that they actually do have these mating rituals that involve more than just the mating. I was just speaking about the lilac-breasted roller, where the males, they get their name, the rollers, because the males will just kind of drop out of the air and do all these cool little aerial tricks that kind of looks a bit like rolling. And that is where they get their name from, trying to impress their ladies. And then the suicide bird as well, named so because it will just drop completely out of the sky and at the last minute make a recovery. A heap of gazelle there. Very beautiful little animal. This one looks like it's got a bit of a tum on it, doesn't it? If I was a cheetah, I'd be going gator. They are awesome birds, the grey-crowned crane. Just stunning, completely stunning. I remember I wasn't aware that they were here in the Mara when I very first came here, when I was just wrapping my head around the place. And I remember seeing them in a documentary. And then when I first ever spotted one here, I was over the moon because they have been a bird that I've really wanted to see. And that was a real special thing because until I started working for SafariLive, birding hasn't really been a big part of my life and birds hadn't really been a big part of my life. So to see one bird that I actually had wanted to see for a long while, far before SafariLive, was very exciting stuff. It's like they're doing a bit of preening there. Preening and cleaning. So I've yet to see them inflate their gular sac, which is that red structure under the neck I was talking to you about, but I have heard they could do it. Ramona wants to know how tall these two birds are. Well, if I had to estimate, I would say about 80 centimetres tall. So in inches, that is about 35 inches. So just under that metre mark, just under a yard. So they're quite a tall bird, the grey-crowned crane. Wow, I'm just getting updates as well that Busara has made a kill. And she is quite a way away from where we are now, but I believe Lauren is... So, we do have an answer here for the collective word of a topi. Biket has said that it is a helicopter of topis because of their tails. That is very cool. If only these ones were standing with their bums too. Oh yeah, we can kind of see that anyway. So a helicopter. Thank you very much for that. I would not have guessed that in a million years. A helicopter of topi. Oh, and more cool. Oh, it looks like we have a calf here in between these two. Very, very cute. But we also have a impala lamb as well on our left. Just walking it through with these other impalas here, just at the back. It looks very fresh. Just trailing at the back, the very back of all of these impala. Just further back. Further back. Just one more back there. Just coming through this bit of grass. There we go. Haha, you little cutie. It's quite a lot more special to see an impala lamb in the Mara just because they don't have that set season, breeding season like they do in Juma. So you never really know when you're going to get to see one. I have noticed though there has been a little bit of an influx of impala lambs just because we are starting to come into the rains, and so there's always generally a peak in laying when, or not laying. What am I talking about? There is usually a peak in births with a lot of different species at the start of the rainy season. Oh. I don't even know what that was all about there, that male. There's no other males there. It looks like a bit of a bachelor herd. And we quite often see with impala that the males do get, the dominant males, should I say, sorry, do get to do a lot of the breeding. I believe it was in, was it Tanzania perhaps? No. Maybe it was, but there was a study done in one of the African countries on impala, and in this particular area, 1 year for impala, only 4 impala were accountable for 70% of the breeding. So just 4 individuals. And then the next year, it was 6 individuals and 65% of the total breeding population was because of them. So, yeah, very, the spoils do go to the victor when it comes to impala rams. All right, well, I'm going to keep on pushing up towards the river. We aren't too far off yet, but nice little patch of diversity to come across here. Sandstar, why is there no rutting season in the Mara? Well, that is because of the availability of resources. So Juma is very seasonal, so we'll have a lot of rain in the summer and then very dry indeed in the winter. And so the impalas want to line it up so that they're giving birth when there's lots of rain and therefore lots of resources around, so that they can give all of their energy on to their young. Whereas here in the Mara, there's pretty much resources all year round, plenty of food all year round, and so that is why there is not really a defined breeding season for the impala here. Sorry, you will see a few vehicles just behind and in front. Oh, and they're kicking up all the dust and the wind is blowing right in my face, so I'm just going to look over this way for a while that dust passes by, not to get any in my eyes. Now it is cleared up. Oh, hyena, hello. Where did you pop up from? Looking a bit shaggy there. I wonder if Lauren saw this one on her way back down towards Busara. It is obviously quite difficult to tell the difference between a male and a female hyena, as the female does have a pseudo-penis and a pseudo-scrotum. As this one disappears, I will move on. But that is because the female reproductive organs, because of their higher levels of a hormone similar to testosterone, they have kind of developed into fake genitalia. Apparently there's more answers for the Topi question. So perhaps Tyrese says it's a shred of Topi. I like that, a shred. So perhaps the helicopter one was just a guess, I think it sounds like. So the helicopter one must be a guess for, I guess because of the movement of their tails. But Tyrese is coming through with a shred of Topi. That sounds cool. Sounds like they should be out getting barreled and shredding up the waves. Apparently I got the name wrong and it's Hyres. I'm sorry. I'm terrible with hearing names on comms. Harry. Oh, it is just Harry. Sorry about that, Harry. I do apologise. I don't know where I got Tyrese from. Ooh. Just going to back up a little bit for this giraffe. We can have a nice look at that. Standing in a nice spot for us there. Jeez, they are big creatures. Hello, Mr. Maasai Giraffe, or Mrs. Maasai Giraffe. I can't quite see the ossicones properly from here, so I can't really distinguish the sex. Well, as this giraffe gracefully walks behind us and eventually out of the frame, let's go back down to Lauren, see how she is going, get a bit of an update there.
We are on our way at a high speed here, holding on to my hat once again, because we have Queen Bee. We have Busara, who has just caught breakfast. So we're on a high speed drive in order to make it in time before the end of the show. It's always a race against time, isn't it? So hopefully Nina will be very kind to me and let me do a short update, as I can't actually drive as fast as I would like to when I'm talking and listening at the same time, because the wind completely blocks my earpiece, so I'm not actually even able to get anywhere. But we have her location, which is amazing, and we have the fact that she just took down her breakfast. Oh no, we have roadblocks. Oh my my goodness. When you're trying to get somewhere very fast, you can. Take a look at this up ahead. We'll just stop quickly. Bungay will give you a great look at what we're facing. Good morning, guys. How are you all? Wonderful. We have some juveniles, we have some adults, we have a whole troop here. Some are picking each other's bottoms, which is lovely. Now, as much as I love these animals very much, we do have a cheetah to find who is eating her breakfast. So we are going to say excuse me to these baboons and continue onwards. Now, obviously, I'll have to drive a little bit slowly. Good morning. Hello. Hello. And Nina is the best. I do love her, and she is being kind. We're going to throw you back to Patrick while I throw my foot on the pedal and try and get to Busara in time.
Well, I'm just sticking my head into the river here, although it looks very dry. Last time I was here, hang on, I'll just come around so we can get a better look. Last time I was here, there was water flowing through here, and I suppose that we have had a couple of drier weeks, and it has really taken its toll on the river here. It's a bit disheartening to see, actually. So just a couple of short weeks ago I was here, and this place was full of water, full of flowing water, and full of hippopotamus. And now, let's take a look out here. It's dried right up. That's a bit unfortunate. So there are hippos that I can see. I'm just going to see if I can get in a good position to show them. So the hippos are a bit further down. There's a bit of a bend in the river down where the water tends to pile up a little bit more. Just come around. There's hippo tracks all over the place here. This place that I'm at is actually called Hippo Pools. And there's a nice little seating area, which is why I can't actually go down close to them and show you, because there's a nice little seating area where you can sit out of your car and actually watch them. But there they all are, down in that bend in the little corner there. All basking away very nicely there. So yeah, it's really the only place of built up water here, so I suppose it makes sense that would be where all the hippos would be, but it would probably increase a bit of male fighting, or a little bit of male aggression, as it tends to be with hippos when they're in water. The males will kind of evenly, well, not evenly, but they will kind of spread themselves out a certain distance across the water. So obviously, if there's less water, then there's going to be less room for that, and therefore more conflict. Yeah, as I said, we can't get the best shot, so I will move on, but I just thought I'd stop in and show you the river anyway and have a look at some hippos. I can't see any crockies anywhere as well, unfortunately. I haven't seen some crocodiles. Raptors in the kitchen was excited to see some hippos. I'm very glad. It's always great to see them, as I'm sure a few of you have seen the cool hippo sightings I've had over the last few days, where they've been just walking around out of the water. And especially yesterday, when we had the hippo in the foreground and then the lions all moving through in the background. That was really, really cool. So we're starting to get a bit of variety now. And as I come back, there is one little area. Fern is hoping that the fish don't die. Yes, so do I. I mean, there was a little bit of water still in the river, and where I was yesterday, there was still quite a bit of water in the river, so I think the fish should be okay. I haven't looked too much into the fish species of the Masai River, or the Mara River, sorry. I do know that in Juma there is tilapia and the catfish in Buffels Hook Dam. As for the species here, I'm actually so curious about that now that I am going to go straight back to camp and look that up straight away, what species we get in the river here, because it's something that should have crossed my mind but just hasn't. I've been more focused on the crocodiles and the hippos. Of course, the river is going to light up during the migration as all of the zebra and wildebeest try to cross and the crocodiles get themselves some meals. That was one scene that I would love to sit and watch for the migration if I am here for it. We almost had it happen last time I was here in November. We had a little bit of a spillover from the migration, so there's still quite a lot of wildebeest and zebras hanging around. And we were sitting over one side of the river hoping that the zebras would cross, but I think they were maybe a bit clued onto it by then because they timidly approached but never actually crossed. So there is topi absolutely everywhere this morning, thrushes of them. Grommet, what is my favourite reptile? Ooh, sea turtles, definitely. More specifically, the olive ridley sea turtle. It is one I got to know very intimately in Costa Rica. I was working on a bit of a sea turtle project out there on a very secluded, very beautiful beach called Playa Nancite. If there are any surfers watching along and they know of the break Witch's Rock, I believe it featured in one of the Endless Summer surf movies. It's about 1 kilometre or 2, just about a mile up from that famous Witch's Rock, which is the beach that we worked on. And yes, worked with the olive ridley turtles, and it was quite the experience. One night though, a black turtle, which is a subspecies of the green turtle, came, and they tend to nest. So we were surveying the beaches for turtle nests and counting the eggs and taking measurements of the turtles and tagging the turtles, because as I have this little topi roadblock move through, this animal crossing. So yeah, taking all of those sorts of stats. But anyway, we had a black turtle come up and they nest in the vegetation. And so we had to come right up into the vegetation. And I was kneeling down to count the eggs coming into the nest. And something under my knee I felt squirming about, and it was another reptile. It was the, what was it? It had coral in its name, banded coral snake, I believe. Anyway, it was one of the most venomous snakes in Costa Rica. Came out right from under my knee. And so I stayed very still and tried to alert the other two I was with using a series of small grunts going, look. And then they saw it and it slithered off, not a care in the world. And then all we could do after that was just laugh. I mean, nothing bad happened, so there was nothing to do but to just have a laugh at it. But it is really interesting. We were able to get so close with these turtles while they're nesting because they go into what we call the turtle trance. And this is the state that they go into when they are laying eggs. It's almost as if it's a state of torpor, like they are in a fix or in a trance. And they pretty much don't notice anything around them, anything that's going on. There's not much that can really startle them once they are in this phase. So it's very, very easy to take a look at what they are doing and get some real nice data in terms of their nesting. And then it's also a bit unfortunate because of this, they don't really know there's predators around, so they get smashed by the jaguar that live out in that dry forest through there. It is quite the jaguar trap, which is a song title. If anyone listens to What's So Not, then they would definitely laugh at my pun. Just gonna chat to this guy. Oh no, I'm not. No, he doesn't. Well, it seems like Lauren is getting ever closer and closer to Busara. So yeah, let's go see just how close she is.
Indeed we are. We are almost there, and perfect timing. We're at the trickiest part in the road, so you're just going to have to bear with me. These roads down here are terrible, but we're almost there, so you're going to have to hold on to your seats. But we are definitely... Hi! How are you? We are definitely going to get you a glimpse of the beautiful Queen Bee herself. Oh, crikey, crikey, this is not easy to navigate. Okay, we're back on a normal path. Now, she just made a kill. I cannot believe it. I cannot believe it. I imagine, to guess, it's going to be a Tommy, a Thompson's Gazelle, but I actually have no idea. So I'm intrigued to see exactly what our queen herself is eating, and I'm going to stay with her all day. We are out for the day, Bungay and I, and I'm going to stay and watch exactly what happens. If any scavengers come in, or if Queen Bee herself manages to indeed finish her breakfast. So I'm not going to leave my Queen Bee because I've missed her a lot. Bungay, can you see her? With my wonderful eyesight, I probably cannot. But she is here. Wow, 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 wow. Juma is up and running. Better late than never, they say. While you don't want to see me navigate across these crazy roads, we're going to send you down to Juma to finally say good morning.
People do say better late than never, but are they right? Are they? A very good morning to all of you. My name is Jamie. This morning, Craig is on camera with me. We had so many plans for the morning. We've been out all morning and we've just got home and everything started working once again and we headed back out again. So it's all gone swimmingly. And what can I say? I mean, I'm in a really good mood about it all. I'm really chuffed. I'm smiling. You know, all those positive, optimistic things that we are definitely not in any way obliged to spew out. It's been a wonderful morning. The reason that I am so jolly positive this morning was because actually we were meant to have a special guest with us, but he unfortunately, due to issues, will not be joining us, and you'll just have to wait and see in the future when we manage to get a time slot in his phenomenally busy schedule. Okay, cool. So you want to know what we've been up to while the people in the Mara, Lauren and Pat, have been doing a magnificent job of keeping things going. Well done to them. Thank you very much to the Mara crew. We were out. We did want to help, but we're stymied. So while Lauren's rushing off to Busara, we've been driving around. We actually had a great time. There's tracks for Tandi, we didn't find her. Tracks for Tlalamba, didn't find her either. But we did find something that should actually make your day, but I don't know if I'm even going to get there in time for the end of drive. And then we're going to turn around and go back home again. But there were overnight visitors to Juma. Ones that have been in and out, and were calling all of last night. And the Nkuhumas then plopped themselves down at Chile Pan. So bear with me, my Game Drive radio is open comms right now, but you just have to bear with me. Are there any stations with the Nkuhumas? These people must think I'm completely mad. This is the third time we've pulled into this sighting this morning. Wouldn't put it past Tundi to turn around and go all the way back. It's just a squirrel making a bit of noise. Okay, let's try get you to the lions. I'm not far, but the rains have made bumpy. Oh man, we should have just stayed at one place. It's just been one of those mornings. Bravo, Lauren, well done. She's made her way all the way to the airstrip and she has found the lovely Busara / Anna Shea.
Ta-da! I found my queen bee. Look at her in all her glory, surrounded by her prey items, which is rather strange, shall we say. The gazelles are obviously doing what they do best, and when they do see danger and they do see a threat, they stare them right down. So at least if they have the predator in sight, then it's much safer for them. Now, she has a kill. Everyone's telling me she has a kill. I just am not able to see exactly what she has. Now, my best guess would be a Thompson's gazelle, which is rather sad that she's surrounded by them. She's a little bit off into the distance, but we are still getting a great view of her, and I have been told by some people that I need to put suntan lotion on, so that's currently what I'm doing as I'm talking to you, because this sun is getting incredibly hot. So I have not got the physiology of Busara, so I am indeed just applying sun cream as we're talking, in case anybody wondered that. So you can see she is doing what cheetahs do best. She's nervous. She's most likely tired. It is indeed only 9:15 in the morning and it's incredibly hot. And when I say it's hot, you all know it's hot. So she's probably exhausted if she has just made a kill. I'm just rubbing my suntan lotion in as we speak. I hope you don't mind. So she's probably resting, recuperating, but also looking out for potential threats. Hyenas could come, vultures could come, jackals could come. There's a marabou stork somewhere around, so you actually never know what's going to happen. So she's probably catching her breath, definitely. It's hot. She probably ran fast, made a kill. It's exhausting for cheetahs, but she's probably also on the lookout. They get very nervous around kills, especially a solitary female like Busara. I'm not saying maybe the 5 musketeers, for example, the 5 males, would potentially be a little bit braver, a little bit more confidence with one another. However, she is alone. And Nina, if you could just repeat that question as I was multitasking with my sun cream. And I will get back to Jackie with whatever she is asking me. I just am determined not to get built. Okay, well, she just picked it up there. Yes, Jackie is talking about the amount buffet of gazelle. Unfortunately, Jackie, this is true. There is so many gazelle here. And you know, cheetah, Busara being solitary, being completely alone, is actually, this is a perfect area for her. And I think this is why she has chosen to sort of be here the past, what, week or so. 1, it's open. She can see for miles. 2, there's literally prey everywhere. So you're right, Jackie, it's a prey buffet. I can see warthogs, I can see gazelles, I can see impala, baby young zebras. So really, this is perfect for Busara. There's lots of sort of puddles with water if she needs a drink. There's sort of a scattering of trees, if you like. There's trees dotted all over the place if she needs shade. Look at that, she's surrounded by her prey. That's incredible. So actually we are down at Kichwa airstrip, so it's not ideal in the fact that there is aeroplanes landing, but this is actually the most perfect environment for her, and I do think she's going to stay here a lot longer. Actually, it does make sense that way. I think hopefully we're going to get to spend more and more time with this beautiful female. Oh, so I've not been the only one successful on my mission today, and I'm not going anywhere, by the way. I'm going to sit right here and watch my queen. But Jamie has found some other cats for you all.
Success indeed, and I suppose even though we've had a trying morning in terms of technical difficulties, the bush always provides rewards. So there you go. For this last mad dash of a sunrise safari, you can have a look at the Nkuhumas lying in the shade of a nice large guarri bush. And they are, for once, doing us the favour of being right in the middle of Djuma and not just passing through on their way somewhere else. And the good news is, and a reason to watch the sunset safari, is that they are actually, well, I mean, not good news. I'm not saying it's good that they're hungry, but they are hungry, which means that there's a good chance that we might see them up and moving at some point in the afternoon. I've seen these lovely ladies hunt right in the middle of the day. There's nothing to stop them from doing the same today, but it is going to be, I think, quite swelteringly hot. And you know what? As it happens, fans, it turns out, need electricity in order to work. So usually in the middle of the day when we are load-shedded is when it's at its hottest and the fans don't work. But anyway, the lions don't have the luxury of the fan and they seem to do just fine. And they're covered in a fur coat. So really we shouldn't be complaining at all. We're going to, though. We've got 10 lions here. When I last did a head count, when I came into the sighting for the second time. And it looks as though it is 9 Nkuhumas and 1 Mangeni male, which means that we are missing 1 on this bright and lovely morning. Now, I heard a report on the Game Drive radio that there's a lioness mating in Buffelshoek to the north of Buffelshoek Dam, so I think there's a good chance that that's where the missing Nkuhuma is. Obviously don't know for certain. But it's quite astounding. Spot the Mangeni male. See if you can. He is looking so good. Lara Moore says, kitty meditation faces. Yes, meditation? Would we call it meditation? We can go for it. We can call it meditation. It's largely just fast asleep, absolutely out cold. It's obviously been a long night for them. They walked quite far. Yesterday they were on Buffelshoek. They've done covered almost half of Buffelshoek itself, judging by their tracks. Which female is this with this scratched up face here? It's one of the subbies. I can't actually tell. I haven't seen them in the time that she managed to get that injury across her cheek. Same girl. A little bit of blood running down her neck. That comes from ticks. That's a tick that's been popped while she's been scratching. What was I talking about? Oh yes, they've come a long way. So they're probably feeling a little bit tired. I was quite hopeful for them this morning because I heard a report that there was a herd of buffalo meandering their way towards Djuma, but they promptly meandered back all the way to Manyeleti. Unfortunately, there isn't a meal waiting to walk into their waiting mouths. It's amazing. This morning was such a perfect temperature. It's now close on 30 degrees, I would say, at 8:30 in the morning. So much for winter. Okay, well, this is pretty typical this time of the day with this sort of heat. Lions are very sleepy. Baboons, on the other hand, are thoroughly playful.
Well, we just had a little bit of a roadblock in the form of a troop of olive baboons, and they have all moved behind me now, so I'm going to see if I can catch back up with them. But there is a vehicle behind me, a big tractor as well, coming up this way, so I can't really go around any further. It's kind of blocking the whole road, so unfortunately I cannot show them to you, but yeah, they're becoming quite a regular sighting now. After not having them on camera for quite some time, we've been getting them in Djuma and here. I think that may have even been the same troop that was in front of Lauren just before. Just gonna pull off on the next little side road we can have a look at some elephants. Oh, but it sounds like we have Busara and her breakfast. So let's go say hello to Lauren watching her eat her meal.
Well, we haven't got the most perfect view of her. I'm not going to pretend we do, but it is still her. And she keeps looking up every so often to see what is going on. And I do believe from this angle I am at, that is a Thompson's gazelle that she is indeed eating. And it's a little bit of a sad scene when you see that other gazelle behind just sort of watching. It does pull at the heartstrings, but of course Busara needs to eat. It's a tricky one. So I know it's not the best view. I am contemplating potentially just moving to give you another better view of our bit, but we aren't quite allowed to off-road in this area. So I want to give you the best view. Oh, she's sitting up just on cue. Look at that. You get the prey on either side, and beautiful Busara. I'm so proud of her. And as many of you know, she is indeed 3 years old. So she is an established female out on her own. And it is normally around the 2-year mark that the females do come into estrus. And that is, oh, hello. There's lots of other animals being attracted to the area. The antelope are going crazy, running around. They're probably very aware of the threat that does face in Busara. So they have a marabou watching very, very closely. Now, the marabou stork would not be brave enough to approach Busara on his own, but if other potential scavengers did come in, which is exactly what we're going to stay here and wait for, then indeed the marabou would make his mark. So yes, females around 2 years old generally come into estrus, and that is when they tend to leave the group that they are in with their mother and their siblings. Bless me, sorry, I just sneezed again. I'm terribly sorry. I don't know why I'm sneezing today. So yes, she's obviously 3 and she's out on her own, and she is indeed a very proficient hunter. She's a cheetah, and although there was a period of a few days she was missing a lot of hunts, I mean, that could have been down to a lot of factors. Generally, predators do miss meals. We've even seen lions and leopards miss meals, and it's just the nature of the game, should I say. They're not always going to make a successful kill every single time. So maybe we were just sort of witnessing her in a weak phase. Maybe she was injured a little bit. Maybe she was a bit sore. Maybe she was tired. Maybe she was hungry. Maybe it just hadn't been a good week. We all have off weeks, don't we? But I can assure you this girl is a successful hunter. Painted Wolf is saying a cheetah eating is always happy news. And yes, you are right. I do personally feel that cheetahs tend to have, I hope I can phrase this right, the raw end of the deal sometimes. You know, they haven't got the muscular structure or the power of a lion. They haven't got the ability to hoist their kill in a tree. I have seen a cheetah climb a tree, but not hoist and use its muscles to actually get a kill in the tree. It's actually sometimes very difficult for a cheetah to drag its kill under a tree, and that is potentially maybe what Miss Busara needs to do. But you can see the landscape. Bungay has given us a perfect sight in front of us. There is actually no trees. There is a tree far to the left and there's a tree far to the right, but that's going to require a lot of energy, especially if she's just spent a lot of that energy making the kill. But potentially it could be useful for her to get in some shade and get under some cover with her kill, but I'm not sure she's going to be able to do that. So sometimes I feel cheetahs do get the wrong end of the deal, and Patrick had a fantastic sighting with 2 cheetahs, and he was able to actually watch the jackals and then the hyenas swoop right in, and unfortunately the cheetah just had no chance. They're just not designed for that. They are amazingly well designed. The specializations that cheetahs have to be able to be the successful hunters that they are incredible. The list goes on forever. They are my favorite for that reason, but they're just not designed to sort of compete against leopards and lions. So they have their own niche, and that's why I admire them. In a world full of highly competitive competitors against one another that are always trying to sort of win and steal each other's food and kill each other's cubs, cheetahs have managed to find a very specialised niche, and that is indeed why I adore them so much. They've really, really found an area that they have evolved and became very well designed, and that allows them to survive and thrive out here. So people may not think they're exactly very high up in the predator hierarchy, but I think they do very, very well. And considering Busara's on her own, she doesn't have a coalition, she doesn't have, you know, others around her, I think she's done incredibly well. I am so happy we've caught up with our girl, and I think I've already mentioned this, and I'm going to say it again, we're staying with her. Bungay and I are going to have a lovely day with Busara. So I had breakfast with hyenas and lunch with Busara, which will be another banana and peanut butter. But thank you everybody for joining us, for all your comments and questions. They mean the world to us, and we really hope you do join us again for the sunset safari today, happening a little bit later. So until then, take care and we'll see you soon.